As you may or may not know, my wife and I just got back from Vegas. It was a great trip. We ate, we drank, we had a blast. But then we got home and looked at the credit card, and I gotta say, it doesn't matter how much fun you're having, $25 for a drink is a ripoff. Frickin' Vegas. I hate getting ripped off, and so do the lads over at Harry's. They spent years watching the razor blade companies rip people off and said, no more. Not all heroes wear capes, my friends, and they want to prove that they're legit by offering you hot dogs a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. I've been telling you about them for months, and I'm genuinely proud to have Harry's as a sponsor of this show. I wasn't kidding. The plastic, futuristic-looking crap razors you get at the store are overpriced and they're poor quality. Harry's blades are crisp, clean, and classy. They're the kind of razor you'd expect your grandpa to have on his bathroom counter. And most importantly, they work. Shave after shave, they're so smooth, they're precise. I used to go through the crappy store blades all the time, but Harry's are built to last. And they're not just better quality than the other names, they're more affordable. And they deliver. Just set your schedule, and for as little as $2, new blades, shaving creams, lotions, everything you need, right to your door when you need it. I genuinely cannot think of a reason not to try Harry's. And I'm not just saying this because they're sponsors. They're the best shaving supplies I've ever used. Try them out, and if you're not happy, your shave's on them. And unlike the other subscriptions, they're really easy to cancel if you want to too, which is a nice bonus, but believe me, you're not going to want to cancel. Getting ripped off isn't funny. Switch to Harry's. Get started with a $13 trial set for just $3 at harrys.com/RTG. That's harrys.com/RTG for a $3 trial set. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Remember the Game. It is my retro gaming podcast where every week a buddy of mine and I sit down and we geek out about the games we played back in the day. My name is Adam Blank. Thank you so much for listening to the show. And this week we fucking made it, baby. 250 episodes. Holy shit. This is episode 250. And to celebrate, we're covering a game that many of you have requested over the years, and a game that I've personally been quite stoked, as the kids say, to talk about for quite some time now. Gears of War for the Xbox 360. Do kids still say stoked? Yeah, they probably do. Am I so out of touch? No, it's the children who are wrong. Shout out to anyone who gets that reference. This is a very, very special game for me. Not only because it's awesome, but because when it first came out back in 2006, it's almost 17 years old. I was 23 years old. I'd kind of fallen out of gaming for the first time in my life. I was hitting the bars. I wasn't really playing a lot of vids. And when I decided I was starting to get done with the clubs and the hangovers and blowing all my money, and I wanted to start staying home a little more often and saving some dough, I decided to go back to my old friend, video games. So I went over to Best Buy and kind of just impulsively bought an Xbox 360, and I bought Gears of War to go with it without really knowing too much about it, just because it was the hot new game and I wanted to be cool. And it just completely reignited my love of gaming, and I just thought it was excellent. It's an excellent game. I've been saving Gears of War for a milestone episode, and I think the time is here. Personally, I didn't really play the multiplayer. I was a campaign guy, and for the record, we are going to spoil the campaign for Gears 1 today. I don't think we ruin anything from future games, but we are going to spoil the original Gears of War campaign. Just know that. And my buddy Tyler is my guest this week. He's a big fan of Gears of War, and he was a big fan of the multiplayer as well. So he's going to show it some love too. We're going to try to cover all of our bases. I know a lot of you have been excited for this episode, and I hope we do Marcus and Friends justice. I actually just replayed this campaign last week to get ready for this episode. You can find that entire Let's Play over at youtube.com/rememberthegame if you're interested in checking it out. There's actually quite a few. I have over 100 now. Adam Sucks at Video Game videos over there if you're interested. And listen, we're going to get to the infamous intro and the rest of the stuff in just a second here. I did want to just take a moment to say thank you to all of you for helping us get to 250 episodes. At the end of this podcast, I'm going to thank some people, and I'm going to spend a minute talking about the future of Remember the Game. I'm not ending it or anything. Don't worry about that. But I know some people turn the show off once the game chat ends. I understand. So if that is you, then please just let me say thank you for all of your support over the last almost 5 years. I think they say there's some stat that says over half the podcasts that come out don't make it past 10 episodes or something, which I'd believe it, because a lot of people try it. They aren't a big success right away, and they say, fuck it. And I get that. I've been there too. I understand. Podcasting's not easy. I think when you're not doing it, and trust me, I'm not like sucking my own dick here or anything. You'll hear the whole point. Man, if I could. No, anyways. Like, podcasting's not easy. I think when you listen to a podcast and you're inspired to start one, you're like, well, that's not hard. You just sit down, you talk to a microphone, you put it on the internet, and it's like the underpants gnome. Steal underpants, something, and then, riches. And I think that's how people kind of look at podcasting, but it's tough. There's a ton of competition out there. And it can be discouraging when you get started and you're not really that happy with the episodes and you're not getting the downloads that you want and all that. And I understand that. I famously said on Remember the Game episode 1 that nobody's going to listen to this anyway. And I really did believe that. I really did. And it took some time. We used to get 20, 30 downloads a week. And the only reason I didn't stop doing it was because I genuinely did and still enjoy talking about video games. The fact that I can make a living doing this now is just the greatest gift I could have ever asked for, but I just wanted to talk about video games. So I guess the point I'm trying to make is if you're listening to this and maybe you've started a podcast or you want to, and you're discouraged because it's not blowing up, or it takes time. It took us years to start gaining a little bit of momentum. We used to get 20, 30 downloads a week. Now we're at almost 3 million lifetime downloads. I do 5 podcasts a week. I've made a ton of friends and talked to so many of you from around the world and shared this hobby that I've loved my whole life with so many other people that love it just like I do. And I'm living my dream over here. If you could go back 30 years and ask little 10-year-old Adam, what does he want to do when he grows up? It would have been either a Ghostbuster or something with video games. Ghostbusting didn't work, but this did. So I see your messages. I see the DMs. I see the emails. I can't reply to all of them, but I see all of them. From people saying that the show helps you get through the workday or long drives or tough times. People have shared some incredible stories with me. Some of you use it to go to sleep, which I still think is a compliment. And so I just want to say thank you. Thank you so, so much. There's so many podcasts out there, and that my unprofessional, subpar quality, profanity-laced, voice-cracking, word-fucking-upping rambling has hit home with so many of you. It's something I never have or will take for granted, and it's an honor, quite frankly. I'm just a bozo from Edmonton that likes video games and didn't want to work for Uline anymore. I'm the luckiest guy in the world, so thank you very, very, very much. Okay. That's enough of the mushy shit. Let's get into that profanity-laced, voice-cracking, word-fucking-upping... See, I fuck up the words. Whatever, let's get to the shitty podcast. It's time for another edition of the Remember the Game infamous intro. And if you're new to the podcast, welcome, and consider this your warning. Our intros are kind of long. This one's going to be a little bit longer. I'm going to answer a few more blowing in the cartridge questions than I normally do, but they're fun. We talk video games and stuff, and I'm almost guaranteed to say something stupid, so I recommend hanging out. If you do want to skip it, you're just here for Gears of War talk, I have no idea. Normally go to about the 30-minute mark. I think this one's going to be a little longer, maybe get to about the 35-minute mark, and then you'll be into the Gears of War talk, and it should be a good time. I do have to do my plugs. It's how we keep the bills on around here. I'll go fast. Shut up. We have merchandise, hoodies, t-shirts, coffee mugs, posters, all kinds of stuff. Rocking incredible art drawn by my man Joe from 4545creative.com. You can find our merchandise at rememberthegamepodcast.com. If you're interested, it is a great way to support the show. And of course, if you don't like clothes, you can always just support us on Patreon. By the way, we just found out that about a week ago, we cracked the top 1,000 Patreon accounts, creators, whatever they are called out there. As far as total number of patrons, we're right around 1,800 now, and we're sitting 990th out of over 200,000 patrons for the number of subscribers we have. So holy shit, fuck. Thank you, everybody. Patreon.com/rememberthegame. Subscriptions start at $2 a month, and you can get yourself up to 4 additional podcasts in a week. Every second Monday, we drop Purple Monkey Dishwasher, our Simpsons podcast, hosted by myself and former Hall of Famer Mark McHugh. Every Tuesday, I drop The Rambling Idiot, where I talk about my comedy career, TV, movies, sports, whatever else I feel like talking about. Every Friday is Game Patch, my modern gaming news show, where I talk about the biggest news in modern games, new releases, give you sales picks, etc. And Expansion Pass goes live on Thursdays, and that's a different different show every week. It's almost always about gaming. We do rankings. We look back at characters, consoles, genres. There's some comedy episodes. There's lots of discussions. There's a ton of modern game reviews. And this past week, for the first time in years, there actually wasn't an expansion pass. I lost my voice and I took a very rare sick day. I miss like 2 or 3 podcasts a year, and this just happened to be one. So my sincere apologies. There will be no sneak peek of last week's expansion pass. I'm sorry. But this week I will be dropping the PGA 2K23 versus EA Sports PGA Tour episode I planned to do last week. So that's coming tomorrow. All right? That's episode 163. So again, subscriptions start at $2 a month. You get new shows every week, instant access to hundreds of ad-free archive bonus podcasts. You can download them onto your phone and listen to them wherever the fuck you want. Plus, you can get into our Remember the Game Discord. You get a chance to vote in our Patreon poll every month. This month's Patreon poll will be starting on Wednesday. And it is a Nintendo 64 Survivor poll. We'll be taking 8 Nintendo 64 games recommended by our community. And every day you all will vote. And the game with the fewest votes gets eliminated. And we keep going until one is left standing. And that will get an episode of the show. So that starts tomorrow. So sign up. You can get in on voting on that. You also get the ability to submit comments for all of our shows. You get DM with me. And you get a shout out. And get to hear me mispronounce your name like I'm about to do to most of these people. A huge thank you to our newest Patreons. Snoozy Wallet, Thrillho, Blake Ferguson, Bab the Babs, Ida Yellow, Graham McKay, Shua, Snaff, Emperor Papsmear, Andrew Fraser, Princess Peachy Keen, El Hef, The Goat, Bret Hart, the goated being a bitch maybe, Yoshi the Companion Cube, Electric Clyde, Danger Mouse, Ryan Bridge, James Hastings, sorry James, Patrick Cuthbertson, and Christian Magdaleno. Sorry, Christian. Anyway, I didn't think I fucked too many of those up. That was a pretty good one. Thank you so much for the support and welcome to Remember the Game Industries, patreon.com/Remember the Game. And don't forget, 5% of our Patreon income gets donated to the Stollery Children's Hospital here in Edmonton every year as part of my 24-hour charity stream. And we offer annual subscriptions at all tiers, which will save you your 12th month fees. Ba-bam. That's all my plug. Oh, and my other plug, I'm on Twitch whenever I feel like it. Twitch.tv/Remember the Game. Come by and say hi and tell me why I suck, and it's good times. All right? That's enough blowing myself. Let's blow some of you by blowing in some cartridges. It is our opening segment here on the show. I read a few comments and questions from our Patreons, usually gaming related, but not always. And we call this segment Blowing in the Cartridge.
He blows all right. He blows big time.
That's it, honey. Get into the spirit.
Let's blow. And listen, it's my show. I'm allowed to make the decisions. I decided to add a few extra blows this week because we had a lot of comments, and I'm just in a good mood. It's 250. I felt like indulging my ego. So I'm going to answer a few more questions than normal this week. So sorry if you hate this segment. You've probably already skipped it. But I recommend hanging around because it's lots of fun. Let's blow. Our first blower this week is Jack, who says, blowing in the cartridge, huh? I got something you could blow. Just fucking with you. So is it just me, or is Tears of the Kingdom like 100 times harder than Breath of the Wild? Maybe I'm just old and my reflexes and brain aren't as quick as they were 6 years ago. But damn, I'm getting destroyed here. Still having a blast, but wow, this is a challenge. So yeah, people have been asking me all week, what do you think of Tears of the Kingdom? What do you think of Tears of the Kingdom? Mark McHugh has already beaten Tears of the Kingdom. I love that guy. It says I have 15 hours or more into it. So I'm probably, I have 15 hours or more. I really like it. It took a while to get its claws into me. Breath of the Wild, not so much. This one did. I think it was just, I'm like, I should be working on my backlog of games for the show. And I know it's going to be like an 80-hour game. And I'm like, fuck, this is going to take forever. But this weekend, I played quite a bit of it. And it's got me now. I'm hooked. I'm having a great time. To get to your point, though, Jack, yeah, I don't know if it's just, I haven't played Breath of the Wild since I beat it, 6 years ago. Maybe it wasn't as easy as I remember it being. This game has fucked me up. This game has fucked me up hard quite a few times. I find like every enemy I found that wasn't those little red piggy guys has destroyed me pretty quickly. It's getting a little bit better now that I'm getting a few more hearts and some better weapons and stuff. But yeah, I have been getting my ass kicked pretty handedly as well. So I don't think it's just you. I do think a couple of my friends have said that too. They've found this game a little bit harder than Breath of the Wild. But I'm really liking it. I love the emphasis on the puzzle solving. To me, that's the best part of the game so far. And I think that all the accolades it's gotten are probably pretty deserved. It's pretty good, pretty good game, that Tears of the Kingdom. And in case you're wondering, of course, yes, eventually I will be reviewing it on Expansion Pass. You're going to have to wait till I'm fucking done. So it might take a while, but I will eventually review it on Expansion Pass. JD Robert wrote in and said, hey, Adam, you mentioned liking pop music. Who did you listen to growing up? Mariah Carey, Janet Jackson, or Whitney Houston? Truth be told, I didn't really listen to any of them. I do like Janet and I do like Mariah. I like all three, but I don't listen to any of them that religiously. I do love, who sings All I Want for Christmas Is You? Is that Mariah Carey? I don't know anything about music. You guys know that by now. I'm looking on my phone because I have it on I think it's at the top of my playlist because it's alphabetical. Oh no, it's like, oh wow, it's pretty far down there. All I Want for Christmas Is You. Yeah, that's Mariah Carey. So I guess Mariah Carey's probably number one. But most of the pop music I listened to growing up were like, I make fun of me, I don't care. I like the New Kids. I like the Backstreet Boys. I like NSYNC. I like Britney Spears. I love Christina Aguilera. I fucking love that girl. Her voice is heaven. Fuck, I love that girl. That's more of like, and then like once Timberlake went solo, I really liked his stuff. I like a little bit of the Biebs. I like Taylor Swift a lot now. I just love like pop music. I love all of it. It puts me in a good mood. But I didn't listen to a ton of Mariah, Janet, or Whitney back in the day. Make fun of me if you will. It's fine. Morgan Orsag wrote in and said, hey, Adam, you mentioned before that you have some belief in the simulation theory hypothesis. What has happened or what have you heard that makes you believe in the simulation theory? For me, it's the size, placement, and other details about our moon. It's too perfect of a scenario. If you ask me, look into it if you don't know what I'm talking about. I'm a man of science and faith, and this covers both of them. We were created in this simulation, and science is the code or limiting factors that governs us. Kind of weird and long-winded, but I'm interested in what you think. I get asked about this quite a bit because I have mentioned before that I'm somewhat of a supporter of simulation theory. So I just want to get it out there. Like, I'm not ride or die on simulation theory. I have no fucking idea why we're here. I'm not a religious person. I just don't know. I don't know. To me, simulation theory just makes the most sense. Like, I'm just a believer. I'm like, look at tech from look at tech from 1983 to 2023. That's 40 years. And look at what's happened to technology in 40 years. So who's to say that we're not all just like an Xbox Omega / PlayStation 12 game and everything just loads so seamlessly and it's all in VR and you feel everything and everybody outside of the game knows what's going on. And some of you are probably listening to this and you're like, you're crazy. I'm not going around carrying signs and knocking on doors and trying to convince people of the good word of fucking PlayStation 12 or anything like that. It's just, part of it to me is it's the one that makes the most sense. And part of it to me, honestly, is it's the one that scares me the least. Because nobody really knows what we're doing out here. And so the idea that we're in a simulation is what scares me the least. So long answer short, that's my primary reasoning behind I kind of believe in simulation theory. So I'm not smart enough to talk about it in any more detail than that, quite frankly. I was talking about doing an episode about it on Rambling Idiot. I don't think I'm intelligent enough to really convey what I think. But that's basically, long story short, that's what I think. Let's get back to some video game talk here. Thrillho said, hey, Adam, just got through the backlog and wanted to congratulate on number 250. Thank you very much. I was just wondering, since I know you like to call your main character Hoju in some games, what's your go-to name for entering a high score? Do you like to go with your initials so people know it was you? Or do you just go with ass or tit for the laughs? Keep up the great work, man. Cheers. Thank you, Thrillho. When I have to enter my three initials for a high score, it's either AAA because I don't care and I just want to get it done with, or it's HJU, which is Hoju. I had to drop one of the four letters, and O seemed like the most obvious one. So it's either AAA or HJU. But I very rarely chart on those scores because I'm not very good. So I hope that answers your question, Thrillho. This is great, and all you've done is enter your name. Silver Grunion wrote in and said, Dear Adam, we know you are great at impressions. Thank you. Here is a challenge. What would Boomhauer sound like if he was Canadian? I like this icon. I don't have a very good Boomhauer impression, but I do like this. So, all right. Okay. Man, I'll tell you what, man, that dang old moose, man, it came out of the bush there and hit my car and the dang over to free healthcare, man. You know what I'm saying? There's some maple syrup all over the road and fucking, sorry, man, fucking A, man, fucking A. There you go. That's Boomhauer if he was Canadian. I've been watching that show lately. Fuck, I love King of the Hill. Rolando Campa says, hey, Adam, hope you're feeling better. I am, thank you. Well, you always talk about how much you love video game music, but have you ever heard of any of the music from video game cover bands like the 1UPS, Entertainment System, and Video Games Live? If you have them, please do yourself a favor and check them out. You will not be disappointed, my friend. Highly recommend Mega Man X, Prologue, Spark Mandrill by Entertainment System, X1234 by Arm Cannon, and Music A by the 1UPS. Keep up the good work, and thanks for all the content. I do listen to some covers of video game music. I can't name any of the bands specifically, with one exception. For any of you that haven't heard of them, check out Lame Genie. They're on YouTube, and I have some of their music on my phone. Dude, they have a 5-minute track that's a mashup of songs from Mega Man 3. It fucking turns me on a little bit. It's so good. I actually was in talks to have them on the show at one point, and then it kind of just died on the vine, as they say. But Lame Genie is the video game band I'd like to shout out. So if anyone knows Lame Genie, tell them Adam from Remember the Game is a fan. Banjo the Bear said, Mr. Blank, we know how you can do impressions really well. I didn't mean to put 2 impressions questions in here, but thank you. Especially for The Simpsons. If one day the casting director for The Simpsons asked you to come in for an audition for any characters, which character would you want to audition for? Dude, that's tough, because I think to inherit, like, say it's like Dan Castellaneta died or somebody and they had to, God forbid, or lost his voice or retired. Let's go retired. I don't want him to die. And they had to recast Homer. Like, you'd be so fucked. Even if the voice was bang on, you'd be fucked. That'd be so hard. So, I mean, I don't know. Like, I guess Barney, because that's probably the one I do the best. Barney and Moe. Yeah, if I could just voice Barney and Moe, I'd be happy with just doing those two. That'd be fucking, yeah, what a credit that would be. That would be awesome. Okay, I promise, no more impression questions. I didn't mean to put 2 in here, but I appreciate that all of you enjoy my impressions. That makes me feel good. Thank you. Jean-Ray Pram wrote in and said, greetings, Mr. Blank. I'm considering getting a Switch. I know I'm late to the party, but it's something for me to do while working the night shift. Is it still worth buying one, or should I just wait for the new Nintendo console to come out? No, I mean, some will say wait. I disagree. Jean-Ray Pram, I would say buy one. Like, Nintendo still hasn't announced anything. They're saying nothing's coming in this fiscal year, so you're looking at least another year. I believe them. I think you're playing a new Nintendo console by, probably about 18 months from now. 18 to 24 months from now. And like, why wait that long? You can get a Switch now. If you want to go used, you could probably get one for half price. There's so many great games, man. The Breath of the Wild, Tears of the Kingdom, Mario Odyssey, Mario Kart 8, Smash Bros, Tropical Freeze. There's like 100 Pokemon games if you like Pokemon. There's Fire Emblem 3 Houses. There's, not to mention, all the indie games, plus Nintendo Online. Pay the $20 a year and get a ton of Super Nintendo and NES games and stuff like that. If you're a Mario Odyssey, like, there's Mario games, like, I'm looking at my shelf of games here right now. If you're into Nintendo, and yeah, you're like, I would not wait. Plus, even when they do finally announce it, we don't know when it's coming, and we don't know if it'll be backwards compatible. I hope it is, but we don't know. So I would say don't wait. Pick one up, enjoy yourself. You can always flip it or trade it in toward the new one when it comes out. But I think it's a great time to get in on the Switch because there's so many fucking games. You're set for years. If you like Nintendo games, you're set for years with the number of games available on that thing now. The only problem is they very rarely go on sale, but you can probably get them used and save a few bucks if you're interested. Where was I here? Hunt Bear Pig wrote in and said, hey, Adam, 250 is a significant milestone. Thank you. I found you around a year ago. I quickly subscribed to your Patreon. Thank you again. As far as I'm concerned, this is the best gaming podcast, and I look forward to your shows every week. Thank you. Recent question regarding your opinion of Jason Schreier got me thinking. Am I correct that Jeff Keighley isn't at the top of your list either? I enjoy his interviews and impact on the gaming industry, and I'm always interested in others' opinion when they disagree. Since he's Canadian, are you not proud of your fellow countrymen? Aren't you obligated to drink pints of maple syrup and apologize ad nauseum to one another? Keep up the great work. We are obligated to drink pints of maple syrup. That's what I drink while I record. Listen, I don't dislike Jeff Keighley as much as I do Jason Schreier. And if you missed it last week, I just explained that I think Jason Schreier is as connected and knowledgeable as it gets. I just think he's very pompous and arrogant, and I don't particularly like him. I don't know what I think with Keighley. I think the primary issue I have is, as someone that speaks publicly for a living, I don't think he does a very good job. I'm not going to knock his hustle. He works his ass off. He's the one that organized the Game Awards and Summer Game Fest and everything. I respect what he does. I watch all of his shows. I enjoy most of his shows. I think there's too much filler, but I enjoy most of his shows. I just don't, he comes across as very disingenuous to me. I don't buy into him I don't believe him. When he talks about how much he loves gaming, I don't think he's that great of a public speaker. And as someone that does it for a living and has, frankly, somewhat of a professional opinion on it, I think if it was me, I think he'd be better off still running the shows like he does, but hiring someone else to host them. I think he does it because he likes to, and that's fine. It's his show. He can do whatever he wants, but he could get a better host. And that's just me. That's just my opinion. I don't dislike him like I do Schreier, but I'm not a Jeff Keighley guy. But I do watch his shows, and I will continue to do so. A couple more here. I told you I was going to do more this week. I'm in a good mood. Man of War says, hey, Adam, I'm almost sure you've probably answered this, but I'll ask anyway. What is the one game or system that you missed out on when it came out that if you could go back in time, you wouldn't miss out on it again? I don't know if there's one game, but for system, I either would have bought a Dreamcast when they came out, or I would have begged my mom and dad to get me a Genesis to go alongside my Super Nintendo. Because when I was a kid, I kind of thought you could only have one. Like, I just thought it wasn't even an option to have a Genesis if you had a Super Nintendo or vice versa. And now that I'm discovering all these Genesis games I missed out on, I'm like, fuck, I wish I'd had one of these as a kid. So I would have begged my parents to get me a second one. Or a Dreamcast I would have bought just to support that thing, because if people didn't support that thing, it wouldn't have made it. And unfortunately, it didn't. And I love the Dreamcast. So it'll be one of those two. Blaine the Hoagie Man says, hey, congrats on the milestone 250 episodes. Thank you. I've been wondering, since Ocarina of Time still sits as the highest Metacritic score ever as a 99, do you think they have some personal bias in preventing any game from even tying with it? It's been since 1998 and no other game has tied it. So I'd like to know, which game or games do you feel should also get at least a 99 rating? See, that's tough, because if you don't know, maybe if you're newer to the podcast, I'm not the world's biggest Ocarina of Time fan. If you don't know why we say it, it's because I'm sick of people yelling at me for saying Ocarina or Ocarina. So I just went Ocarina of Time to bother everybody. I'm not the biggest fan of that game, but I'm hard pressed to think of a game that has had the impact on gaming that did. Like, it reinvented the wheel for Zelda. It was a groundbreaking game when it came out. The 3D mechanics and everything. Like, it's like Mario 64, but for some reason I just feel like it was a bigger game than Mario 64. And so it's like, sure, I think there are other games that are better objectively than Ocarina of Time, but I don't know if I could think of one that has like the cultural significance that Ocarina of Time and the long-lasting impact on gaming that game does. Like, I mean, Final Fantasy VII is probably there. Metal Gear Solid is probably there. Arguably, Super Mario Brothers is there. I would maybe put Tony Hawk Pro Skater 2 up there. Like, there's lots of games I love, but I guess my point is, as someone that doesn't even love that game, it doesn't offend me that it's the highest rated score. Like, I'm just like, yeah, it probably deserves it. Do you know what I'm saying? Like, it's that good. Probably deserves it. It doesn't bother me. So I don't know. If it was up to me, I would maybe give The Last of Us that score. But I know some people would disagree with me. I might give The Last of Us that. But even The Last of Us, like, did The Last of Us have the impact on gaming that Ocarina of Time did? I don't know. So it's a pretty special game. It doesn't bother me. It's not the best, but it doesn't bother me. John C500 said, hey, Adam, I know you've watched a bunch of TV shows. Do you like It's Always Sunny? I binge it more than I'd like to admit. My fiance doesn't like it, as all they do is yell at each other. Congrats on 250, man. That's a sweet achievement, fully deserved. The cast acts as a pick-me-up some week. I want to say thank you for the awesome work you're doing. Thank you, John C. For the no, I want to say, like, some people suggest shows to me, and I'm just not that interested. I've always been interested in It's Sunny in Philadelphia, or It's Always Sunny. I've just never watched it for some reason. I don't know why. I like Danny DeVito. I like Charlie Day. I've just never gotten around to it. So I promise all of you, at some point I am going to watch that show. I'm very interested in It's Always Sunny. I've just never gotten around to it for some fucking reason. And finally, then we'll move on. I told you I was going to do a lot of them this week. It's letter time. It's letter time. She said she was level 18, wrote in and said, sup, Blank Man? If you're wondering, I was wondering if you feel that playing games for the podcast make you feel like you're under a time crunch and you rush through playing them. Do you tend to avoid games that have deeper stories than the hellscape that is the backlog? I'd like to take the time to savor the story like a fine wine. It's one of the biggest reasons I love games like Kingdom Hearts and Final Fantasy X. Keep up the great work and tell Molly you need a raise. I did tell her that, and she sneezed, licked her ass, and licked her kotaku, pardon me, and walked out of the room. I wouldn't say I skip games because they have deeper stories. The only games I really skip are ones that I know I'm not interested in, like racing games and stuff, because I just don't care about them. I'm sorry, I just don't care about them. Or games that yeah, like Kingdom Hearts is famously a game that I've banned from the show because I don't really like Disney or RPGs, and I know there's a diehard fan base out there, and there's nothing good can come from me reviewing this game because I'm just gonna get in trouble. Everyone's just gonna hate it. So I won't review it. But I won't skip a game because of a deep story. I'll either skip a game because I'm just not interested in it, or if I just think it's too fucking long. Listen, Persona, I've played a lot of Persona 4 Golden. Great game. I'm never going to finish it. It's too long. And I never want to play it again because I'm like, I just don't have 200 hours to play this. I don't play games like the Harvest Moons, although they'll get on the show eventually, I think. Stardew Valley looks awesome, but I'm like, I'm a recovering Minecraft addict. I can't fucking afford the 200 hours I'll sink into those games again. So I just don't play them. But no, a deep story, I love deep story. I love a good story. Frankly, after whether or not a game is fun is number one to me. And then usually a deep story is 2 or 3. Which I know is funny coming from a guy whose favorite games are like Mario and Crash Bandicoot. But I love a good story. Like Final Fantasy 15. I liked the combat in that game, but the story was so bad that I was like, I can't do this. This is fucking terrible. I hate this game. So no, I like a good story. It's more of just if it doesn't sit on my palate correctly. That's why I skip it. So anyways, okay, we should really get moving. We still have more segments to get to. Thank you so much for all the submissions, everybody. Let's switch things up and get into our Smash Hit segment, the official game show from Remember the Game Industries. It is Play 1, Remake 1, Erase 1. And a huge thank you to Classic Concentration from the NES for unknowingly providing us with the theme music for the show. The rules are simple. Every week I give our patrons 3 retro video games. They can play one as it was released, remake one as a modern game, and the third is erased from time forever. As always, there are no wrong answers, but there is a right one. We'll get there in a minute. And this week, it was hard, man. We're talking Gears of War, so I went with 3 of my favorite Xbox 360 shooters. BioShock, Halo 3, and Gears 2. This one was hard, man. 30% said they'd play Halo 3, remake BioShock, erase Gears 2. I did not realize how much I'd struggle with this one myself when I wrote it. So let me see what a few of you had to say here, and then I'll tell you what the right answer was. Steven wrote in and said, I have little to no experience with these titles and legitimately want to give them all a go, but rules are rules. I'll have to toss one of them into the abyss. I'll play Gears 2 eventually. I'm a sticker when it comes to playing games in order, so I'd have to give the first game a playthrough before I can finally play the sequel. Meanwhile, I'd have BioShock Remade. This is the one game of the lineup I have played some of, and I'm disgusted with myself for putting it to the side. The game is fine, but I said the same thing about The Last of Us on the PS3, and somehow they keep finding ways to polish it, which leads me to erasing Halo 3. Nothing against the series. I would love to give these a go too, but again, that damn need to play games in order. So by the time I finally finish 1 and 2, I'll probably have forgotten I wiped it from the face of the gaming universe, so I think I'll be fine. Then if I do remember the horrible sin I committed, I'll have Gears and BioShock to keep my mind off what could have been. So first of all, Steven, I'm sorry. I don't do this too often anymore. You're on double secret probation for starting and not finishing BioShock. Grow the fuck up. Call in sick to work, quit your job, fucking finish BioShock. And I have no problem with your order, but I will say you were like, once I'm done Halo 2, I'll forget that I had erased Halo 3. I promise you, anyone that's played the campaign of Halo 2 knows you will not forget that there's no Halo 3. That threw a big monkey wrench into my plans, my friend. But double secret probation for the BioShock thing. Catherson said, this is fucked. Play BioShock because it holds up and still gets the blood pumping in the underwater hellscape that is Rapture. Remake Halo 3 because, well, it was the last one I played nonstop with friends, and I adore the campaign. It could use a breath of fresh air to speed the game up. And sadly, erase Gears 2 simply because the other two hold a slightly more special place in my heart. I get it. I went through that when I had to erase one. I understand that. Nomad said, play BioShock. Somehow I've still not played it, and I've avoided anything story-related, so I know I have to get my ass in gear and get on this one. Yes, you fucking do, Nomad. Remake Gears 2. Well, I think it's hard to improve on how awesome of a game it is. I've been itching for a new Gears, and this was my favorite out of all of them, so let's give it a makeover and knock it out of the park. Erase Halo 3. I never had any friends that played any of the Halo games growing up, so I never got into it in any way. Well, I'd love to play it. One of these games has to go, and Halo 3 is the one I'm attached to the least. Sound logic, but play BioShock, Nomad. Namiso Dan. I hope I said that right. What the fuck, Mr. Blank? You're playing dirty this week. I'll play Gears 2 because it's already awesome as it is. I'll remake BioShock because it's perfect as it is. Gears 2 is already a masterpiece. And I can't erase BioShock, mainly for the whole storyline through the 3 games. And I'll erase Halo 3 because even though it's the best Halo out there, the story of the other 2 is more shock value for me. No pun intended. You would have gotten in trouble for the pun, but you dropped a no pun intended, so you're okay. And Blake Ferguson said, this is my first play one, remake one, erase one. I vote to play Halo 3. The graphics still hold up to this day, and outside of Halo 1, this is the most satisfying, complete campaign in the series. Well, that's a hot take. It's not wrong. It's hot though. Remake BioShock. Well, it too still holds up graphically. I can't imagine what kind of photorealism adjacent stuff they could work up with on modern consoles, and an even more impressive Rapture would make me buzz nuts. Plural, multiple. And then Erase Gears 2 because, well, fun. I still prefer the original, and it has plenty of meat on the bone to make up for a missing sequel. So here's the thing. I didn't know what to do because I'm like, I've played all three of these games. I love all three of these games. But I'm like, if I erase Gears or Halo, I'm fucking over franchises that I really like. But I love BioShock. I was so torn. I'm going to go with 12% of you, including Brandon Murphy, who said this has got to be the best one yet. I'm playing Halo 3 because I love that game. It might be my favorite of all time. I'm remaking Gears because I absolutely need to blast some locusts with the Gnasher, and I'm sadly erasing BioShock. It's an amazing game with a great story, but one has to go. And that's the problem. I fucked myself with my own rules. One of them has to go. So I also am going to play Halo 3 because of the ending of Halo 2. And people that have played it, you fucking know. Otherwise, I would have erased Halo 3. As much as I like it, if it wasn't for the fact that I need to play it after playing Halo 2, I probably would have erased it. But once you finish Halo 2, there's no way you don't play Halo 3. I'm going to remake Gears 2 just because I will not, cannot, and shan't erase the Gears franchise. I can't erase Gears 2 and risk losing the rest of them. So I'm going to remake it and just make it look better. And then I'm erasing BioShock. And it's just, this must be how Thanos felt when he had to sacrifice something he loved to get that stone. I'm sorry, BioShock. I love you. Shawn Michaels to Ric Flair. I'm sorry. I love you. I don't want to do this, but I have to. Thank you, everybody. We do need to get to the Gears of War talk. I'm going to tell you what I've been playing over the last 7 days, and then we'll get there. We'll do all that in just a second after I pause for a quick word from one of our sponsors. This show is sponsored by BetterHelp. Everyone that listens to this podcast knows about our illustrious CEO, my dog Molly. But the other silent partner behind the scenes is my wife. And let me tell you, my friends, a 17-year relationship with another person that has to talk to and live with you is a lot harder to maintain than one with a dog. We've had our ups and downs, and as you all know, a relationship isn't all sunshine and rainbows. They can be a lot of work. You get out what you put in when it comes to relationships, and talking to a therapist can be a fantastic way to put in some work. They can help you work through your issues, learn to communicate better, and even just provide you with an ear to bend when you need it. I've talked to my therapist about my relationships, especially when it came to my stand-up comedy career and how much I was away from home, and they helped me work on ways to keep my relationship strong even when I was out on the road. It turned out our relationship was actually better when I was out on the road, but that's a story for another day. And I know, right? Therapy. Who has the time these days? BetterHelp hears you, and they're making it easy. Fill out a quick form online, and they'll match you up with a therapist that suits your needs and that'll work around your schedule. You pick the meet times, and you can get your therapy fix from anywhere, over video, phone, or just chat. Become your own soulmate, whether you're looking for one or not. Visit BetterHelp.com/rememberthegame today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/rememberthegame. Okay, what have I been playing over the last 7 days? It's almost the identical list to last week. I'm playing Dark Cloud for the PS2. Probably going to be next week's episode of Remember the Game. I'm very close to finishing it. I have a lot to say about that fucking game. I've also been playing Tears of the Kingdom. You know what I'm saying. I've been playing Gears of War. You're about to find out what I think. And then I've been playing WWE 2K23. Really, really liking that game. I'm going to review it on Expansion Pass next month. I'm thoroughly enjoying WWE 2K23. Best wrestling game I've played in years. It's really fucking good. So if you're on the fence, pick it up. But anyway, that's what I've been playing. Let's talk Gears of War. That's why you're here. As always, I like to let you nerds sound off about the game we're talking about. For my guests and I hug the mic. A ton of you wrote in, so I'm going to fucking bullet train through a bunch of these. Shannon Willis said one phrase, killer app. We don't have that today. A game that makes you say, yes, I need this console. Gears was that. Mass Effect was that. It set the tone for Xbox beyond Halo. Gears 1 and Killswitch really gave cover shooters a space. I love the bond between Marcus and Dom. Top level Cliffy B. I agree with everything you just said. Fucking minus the Killswitch, because I never played Killswitch. But I agree with everything else you just said. Wyatt the Surgeon, who's not a surgeon, Rowe, said, this is personally my most looked forward to. I love this series so much, it has a permanent place on my arm. It got me into gaming, made me my only friend in high school, and gave me so many stressful memories and so much love for the grunt that does Oh, for the grunt that does. Rest in peace, Carmines. You, the real MVP. Much like this podcast, I never thought it would have such an important place in my heart and my life. I found Remember the Game with my partner I now live with, both of us chuckling about your hot takes and opinions in much the same way my best friend in high school and I found Gears, laughing and absolutely blown away by the violence and quality storytelling. Made only better in the sequel with the absolutely brilliant and unseen beast of a mode that Horde was. More powerful memories and war-forged bonds have never been made than by that mode of play. Congrats on 250, Adam. May your podcast be in my ears at my wedding in much the same way it reassured me on my first date. Well, thank you for letting me be the third wheel on your dates, Wyatt. And thank you for sharing. It's a nice story. Brandon DeZeba. And congratulations on getting married. I should have said that. Brandon DeZeba said there were 2 games that convinced me of the power of the 360 when it came out. And it had me go from being a Sony and Nintendo fan to a Microsoft fan. They were BioShock and Gears of War. First time booting this up, I was in awe of its graphical brilliance, arcade cover shooting, how many games of the late 2000s, that many games of the late 2000s copied, and the epic story. How do you go wrong with a machine gun with a chainsaw attachment? Great game, and can't wait to hear you splooge all over it with your fond memories. It's coming, Brandon. Momentarily. Tommy Simps said a few years ago I was extremely sick and stuck at home doing treatment. To pass the time, me and my girlfriend played through the entire Gears of War series. The characters, story, and gameplay are some of the best Xbox has to offer. The Gears series will always have a special place in my heart. I agree. I've said it countless times. To me, Gears better than Halo. I know Halo is the face of Xbox, but to me, Gears is the MVP. That's my opinion. Michael Mathis said, this game is a masterpiece. I was hyped before it came out because of the amazing commercial they did for it. We talk about that on the show. It played great story, amazing graphics. It was better than Halo 3 in my opinion. First ballot Hall of Famer for that generation of games. Larry White said, this game is the reason I bought a 360. The commercial was amazing with great use of Mad World. One of the few video game commercials that sold me on a game since I was a kid watching some dude run around yelling Zelda. This is one of my top 5 games and series of all time. I love it. I'm not the biggest first-person shooter fan, and I feel like during this time frame, most of the big AAA titles were first person. This wasn't, and the third person made it super accessible. 10 out of 10, no Mario tax for this one. I 100% agree on the third person thing. As far as the tax, there was some controversy on this story. You're going to hear in about an hour. And Dr. Wario is going to wrap it up. Says, great game. My Xbox 360 was the first console I bought for myself, and Gears was the game I sat and played through it a bunch of times. I loved it. Can't wait for this episode. Well, tell your patients to wait, Doc, because it is fucking time, my friend. Tyler and I are finally going to talk Gears of War. Thank you for indulging me in a very long, infamous intro. I'm going to cue up some music. And when it stops, Tyler and I are taking a look back at one of the greats, Gears of War, which originally released in North America on the Xbox 360 on November 7th of 2006. Enjoy the podcast, everybody. Let's fucking go. All right, kids. So we've done it. We've made it. This is it. This is the big old episode 250, as I'm sure I explained during the intro and everything. We're talking Gears of War, and I want to get into why I picked Gears of War for episode 250 and all that stuff. But before we do any of that, I guess it's kind of my job to introduce my guest this week, as you all probably already know, because I probably said it as well. Once again, returning to the show, it's my good friend Tyler. Tyler, what's up, buddy?
Oh, not too much. Just living that smoky Alberta dream.
Yeah, it is very, very smoky. And so, but you know what? It's okay. I don't know. It is like it. I mean, it sucks, but like, give me the smoke over the fires. It could be worse.
Yeah, I was gonna say it kind of creates like a nice atmosphere for a Gears of War podcast. Like it's immersion day. The
Yeah,
locusts are coming.
yeah. It's got the creepy thing down. Yeah.
Mhm.
So, all right. So we're talking Gears of War. And you and I, bro. I fuck. So I'm trying to think. And I apologize to any of my other guests, my former guests or my regulars that are listening to this. I want to say it was Mark McHugh, but I can't remember who my guest was for episode 50, where we did Mario 64. You were my guest for episode 100, where we did Halo 2.
Yeah.
And then my buddy David actually ended up doing 150 and 200, which was Super Mario
nice.
Brothers and Final Fantasy Tactics.
Oh,
And
deadly.
for the 50s, like I want to do games that are like a big deal to me, you know, like Super Mario Brothers and Halo 2 was a big deal and all that. Like, dude, and we're gonna take a couple minutes because I know this is a big deal to you as well, and I think we have a kind of a similar reasoning. But like, I kind of got out of gaming in the PS2 era. That was like in my early 20s. I just moved to Edmonton where I had access to more than one bar, like where I grew up. And I kind of got out of gaming, and I was like going out to the bar, and that's where most of my money was going. I wasn't playing a lot of games. And
Yeah.
then when I started to get a little bit older and I wanted to like save some more money and, you know, get out of some debt, and I was like, I got to stay home. And I was like, all right, what am I going to do if I'm just staying home? I'm going to go back to playing video games. So I went to Best Buy, and I didn't know what I had no idea what I was going to buy. I knew I wanted an Xbox 360 because I liked Xbox more than PS2. So I go and look at this Xbox 360, and what's the game everyone's talking about? It's Gears of War, which I have no fucking idea what it is. So I bring this game home, and within like a day of playing this campaign, it completely reinvigorated my love of gaming. But B, it was like, holy fuck, games have come a long way from like the PS2 Xbox games that I remember, you know, like this. And it Gears instantly became one of my favorite franchises. I've played all of them. I've said it many times. I like these games better than Halo. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but because I think they're very
Ooh,
different. But
really
I
better
do.
than
Yeah.
Halo?
Well, I like the third
Wow.
person. I like the third person more than first person shooters.
I will
So
say that it moves better than Halo. Like you
yeah, and
move your character's movement, like the way you leap over objects, like leap over vaulting, vault over
right,
walls, which was I don't think there were games where you vaulted before this
right.
over walls. Like that might have been innovative to this, but you definitely. I always compare it to like Halo being a first person shooter, just like the pinnacle of storytelling for first person shooters, but Gears
Yeah,
being the pinnacle of movement, where it's almost like they took being a football linebacker and put it
yeah,
into a third person shooter with a chainsaw gun,
yeah. Like
which
I
to
thought,
me is like the invention of energy drink coincided with the invention of Gears of War.
yeah, yeah. No question. And yeah, like I like the way it controls. I like the characters better. I like the story better. I like the third person.
The
I
story
just
better.
yes, I do, dude.
Wow,
Halo's no
these are hot
Halo's
takes. Holy
Halo,
cow.
Halo's story. I have to be honest. I have never found. I like the like. I promise we're talking Gears of War here, but I like the arc between Halo 2 and 3. With and we're not going to get into what's going on there, but people that know. I like that. The original Halo, I could take or leave that story, and then anything after 3, I think is stupid. But
Yeah,
like I like
I
it. I
agree.
think they
I agree with that. Like, but I feel
whereas
like
like
1, 2, 3, story wise, I thought was a very nice for Halo was a very nice complete package. And Gears of War 1, 2, and 3, same deal. I
same
feel
thing.
like
I just
yeah.
liked it better. And I got to be honest, Marcus Phoenix, I like him better than Chief. I just do. He's
Oh my
cooler.
goodness.
I just like Gears better. This game, I've said it before, and I want to know what you think about this. But like I've said it many times over the years. That's why I'm so excited that this is episode 250. Like Gears is my modern day Super Mario Brothers. Because Super Mario Brothers was the
Ooh.
game that made me fall in love with gaming. Gears is the game that made me fall back in love with gaming.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I just replaying it over the last couple of weeks for the first time in probably about a decade to get ready for this episode. First of all, I can't believe this game is 17 years old.
Does that
Like
not blow your mind?
blows
So and
someone commented and was like, I can't believe you're calling Gears retro. And I'm like, bro,
it
it's
is.
17 years old. It is retro. It's
So
17 years.
and get this, so like Halo 2, top of Xbox sales, top of like its, whatever genre of gaming sales until Gears came out. And then that immediately became the top game for sales for the Xbox, for Microsoft.
Yeah.
So
It's
like it
insane.
is a contender and
Dude.
it is a retro game. We've covered the
Yeah.
Halo games. They're retro in people's mind. This is a retro game as well. And
Just to put it in comparison, just for the retro thing, Gears today is older than Super Mario Brothers was into the year 2000 because it came out in
I
1985.
feel so old.
So that's retro. It's fucking retro. It's a retro
feel-
game. So
I feel like Hans Moleman in The Simpsons being like, "What's up, dudes?" when he goes
yeah,
back to high school.
totally. Okay. Sorry everybody. We had a technical hiccup on my end. That's me. I suck at this. Y'all, 250 of these. Everybody knows I don't know what the fuck I'm doing. So that's why I love it. This is my modern day Mario Bros. This was my savior. This game. Marcus Phoenix brought me back to the pack and made me fall back in love with this game or with gaming. Tyler,
so
why do you like this game so damn much?
So similar to you, like I think actually, I moved to the city right around when we started working at that warehouse together,
Yeah.
and I had given I was partying way too hard, so I had no money for gaming. I still had a PC, but it was dated, so I was playing like I don't know, a Warhammer game from the early 2000s and maybe World of Warcraft. Maybe. I mean, I think I was party
Nerd.
yeah,
All right, go
yeah.
ahead.
I think I was partying harder at the clubs than I was playing World of Warcraft, so I maintained some street credibility, but um and then, yeah, I kind of decided to get my shit together and stop being a degenerate and started working a road construction job. And my foreman was like, hey, man, like, this winter, you're not going to have a lot of to do. And if you don't want to fall back into like going to raves and spending all your money, you want to buy my Xbox 360. Unbeknownst to me, he had the red ring of death. But
Fucker.
but so I bought his 360 and this game came with it. And so I'd like play this. My like now wife would make fun of me because she was my roommate at the time because I'd be in my room wrapped up in a duvet with my window open so my Xbox wouldn't overheat, playing Gears of War like a madman, being like, this is the best thing I've ever experienced. Like 10 out of 10 was just mind blown. And then shortly after that, because I got Gears of War 1 late in its release, Halo 3 came out and it was just, oh, I'm a gamer now. I am not gonna go party anymore. Like I am balls to the wall. And for like the next 8 years, I'd work all summer, like 21 on, working 16 hours a day. And then all winter, me and my foreman would play Xbox 360 in all of our spare time.
I love it. Man,
Eh,
can we just take a moment to like pour one out for the Xbox 360? Like what a great fucking like I would argue Xbox has been lost at sea since the Xbox 360.
mhm.
But like they probably had more great exclusives on the 360 than they've had on the Xbox One and the Xbox Series X since, like
I
combined.
even the Xbox 360 arcade had better
Yeah.
exclusives.
Yo, the Xbox minus and like it's fucking wild. To me, it's a
Well,
testament to how dope the 360 was when like its legacy is the red ring of death. But people
yeah.
still loved that console. Despite the
Oh
fact that its
man,
number one talking point was that it didn't work.
they
Like
they
people
fixed it
still loved it
eventually. They fixed it eventually. They got over it.
eventually.
Yeah,
After
they
we
came
each
out.
bought like 3 fucking consoles. I think I owned 3 Xbox 360.
Yeah,
Anyway, I'm sorry.
they call
I just
that
wanted to
planned
shout it out.
obsolescence. Planned
Sons of
obsolescence, something
bitches.
like that. They knew
Sons
it.
of bitches.
They knew what they were doing.
So anyway, I'm sorry. So all right, so that's kind of it brought you back like so it kind of saved both of us. Like who knows
Oh
where you
yeah.
and I would be right now? We might be
Well,
doing Remember the Bar and talking about bars that shut down
well, and
instead of talking about games.
I got friends who never got out of that scene, and they're not in good places now. Like
Yeah.
they don't have a wife and kids, or like you know, y- a wife and a beautiful podcast that everybody enjoys. Like they weren't able to build
I,
anything. Like,
I was about to say, hey, I don't have anything, but like, all right, fair enough. Okay, yeah, okay,
well, you
yeah.
got a wife, you got a beautiful
I have
wife
a
and
I
a
have a
podcast.
fiance. I can say that
Oh,
now. I have a fiance. I'm allowed to be that guy. And
yeah.
then I have a dog. But yeah, no, I get it. I know what you mean. Man.
I also use the term wife liberally. Britt and I are
Me too.
married,
Oh,
so
Shaylee's been my wife for a decade. Yeah.
I know.
So, all right. So let's get into what makes this damn game so great. Now that we've talked about why we both have such a soft spot in our hearts for it.
Yeah, and we're gonna
I
have differing opinions because I'm gonna say multiplayer, multiplayer, multiplayer.
right, but like I'm not, and I want to make sure I make this clear to everybody. Like I'm not, it's not. I have no beef with the multiplayer. I just never played it. I
Oh,
had no
it's
friends that
great.
were playing it, and I didn't really play online. And I don't think I've ever. People were like coming into my streams when I was playing this. I was playing the campaign to get ready for this episode, and they were like talking about their memories of playing Gears multiplayer with each other in the horde mode and everything. And I was like,
Oh
I've
yeah.
never played anything but the campaign. So
Horde mode's where it's at for like co-op with buddies, but
okay, well then, well,
that wasn't in Gears 1.
oh, that's in the future ones. Okay. People were
Mhm.
coming and talking about it. I'm like, I don't know. All I ever played was the single player by my. Occasionally, I'd play the campaign with a friend, but I
Yep.
never played the multi. Like, I'm not very good. So I don't play online shooters. Like, people have been asking me for like a long time. Are you ever gonna cover like a COD or anything? And I'm like, probably not. I don't play any of them. I'm not good. Left 4 Dead was it. Left 4 Dead was your multiplayer shooting episode. Like
And
that
it was
was
a
the one.
co-op shooter. It was a co-op shooter. It
Yeah.
was not
Yeah,
PvP.
exactly, because I don't wanna play against other people because I just get beat by kids that call me horrible things, and I'm not good, and it makes me angry. So let's start with that then, because I wanna get into the campaign because that's where my knowledge is. But I
Okay.
know there's people out there that wanna hear about multiplayer, so I'm just gonna shut the fuck up for a minute. Tyler, I have literally nothing to bring to this conversation. What's so fucking great about the multiplayer in Gears of War?
Yeah, it was just such a fresh take on something that was like at the time. I mean, there was Halo, which was also a fresh take on multiplayer, but it was very first person shooter. Like you move at one speed, you jump, and it's like you're on the moon because you just kind of float up.
You
And
did
other
float in
than that,
that game, yeah.
yeah, other
Yeah,
than
you
that, it
did.
was like Twitch shooters like Quake or a GoldenEye, right? Like there weren't a lot of like really adaptive, competitive first person shooters coming out or third person shooters even. I think Call of Duty was out by now and like Medal of Honor and that kind of thing, but those are still, very linear style shooters. Whereas this was a third person shooter that felt so fluid. Your team deathmatch, uh, you know, I don't know if there's. I can't remember if there was like a capture the flag or anything like that, but there was like team deathmatch, and I remember in Gears 2 there was Wingman, just like such a fresh take on a classic style of multiplayer mode, but the movement was so smooth, so it felt hyper competitive. Like this would have been a game in the MLG in my opinion, just from how everything played. It was very balanced also, which you don't, some shooters aren't balanced. There's the God gun that everybody picks up. Well, this one
Yeah.
had it, but it was in the middle of the map. So you had to like fast run to get the torque bow or you would just get annihilated. Like it was so good. So
I was
good.
g I was gonna
The old
ask that. I was when you said God gun, I'm like, it's gotta be the torque bow, right?
but you couldn't just like have it. You had to go and find it, and it was
Okay.
very similar to Halo with the sword. And there was a way to get around it. You just close the gap and then give them the old 1-2 with a Nasher shotgun, which everybody had. Which is you do your melee attack and then blast them with a hip fire.
Wait, what did
Uh,
you call it? You said melee.
I did.
You didn't call it the melee or whatever the
Melee.
fuck you were calling
I
it
know.
last time.
I have a note here. Say it right on my little notepad.
A
I'm not
Post-it note
calling
on
it.
your screen.
Yeah, it's melee. Melee. It's French.
All right.
Melee,
I'm sorry.
bitch.
Melee. Okay, I'm sorry.
Melee.
I didn't mean to derail your thought. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No, but that's exactly it. It was very balanced. Like it just felt. I said, this was the game that overtook Halo 2. Halo 2 was the top of the charts. This overtook it. I don't think there was anything as good as Gears 1 at the time of Gears 1. Like
Right.
multiplayer wise, anything. Maybe there was a Call of Duty out at the time. I can't remember, but and I know like Modern Warfare 2 came out shortly like after Gears 2, after Halo 3, I think, is when Modern Warfare 2 came out. But like that would have
Okay.
been the succession. You would have been playing Gears with your buddies when this came out. Multiplayer would have been a fucking hoot. And
Right.
then Halo 3 came out and like, that's what everybody switched to. And if you were still
Right.
playing Gears, there would have still been a huge community played, but your buddies would have moved on.
Right. Right. Now, I wanted to ask you because, like, I might be wrong, but like, I want to say the instruction manual to this game. Remember those? Remember instruction manuals? They were awesome. I want to say the instruction manual to this game talked about how they were really inspired by paintball to do the cover based system and stuff like that. And I mean, obviously, it plays a role in the campaign when you're fighting the stupid computer. But I assume it played like cover and stuff plays a much bigger role playing
I
against
s-
humans with brains.
yeah.
You're a
So,
paintball guy, so is that part of your attraction to this? Or
oh,
aren't you
absolutely.
play paintball, right? Yeah,
Yeah, I played
you shoot stuff.
competitive paintball for a while and then got
Yes.
old.
So like, so is
All of a
that part of
sudden,
your?
16-year-olds are flipping over my cover and shooting me in the head 12 times. I'm like, maybe I'm meant for airsoft, a gentleman's sport.
Yes, yes.
And
I'm a
it's
Nerf
way
fan myself,
well, that's my
but that's
son and I
because
are getting into. So,
yeah, exactly. Till you lose your darts in like a week, and now you just have a useless gun. But
oh
anyway,
no, you can buy
uh,
crates of them now. I bought a crate of 500 Nerf darts. We're doing it
oh,
proper
that's
in my
great.
house. We're
Yeah, that's
having
how
like
it's done.
full on Nerf wars.
That's how it's done. Like most people are building like doomsday bunkers, and Tyler's got like a fucking shelter full of Nerf. He's like, just in case.
Just in
Um, but
case.
but I wanted to ask, yeah, for multiplayer, especially when you're playing against other humans, like was like is am I wrong? Like even if I am wrong about the instruction manual, like there's definitely a paintball influence to this game.
So I got the game used. So I didn't get the manual. I just had the disc from,
Right.
and just kind of rolled with that. I could see it though. Like it does feel like it. The movement, I always compared it to being like a linebacker in the NFL, but like it does feel like if you put a linebacker in a paintball game, just because of how bulky and big they are. But just the
Yeah,
cover to
yeah.
cover movement, you know, I forget what they call it, but where you can like lock into the cover and then dash off it, like it is so seamless and smooth. Like
Yeah.
I know that Cliff Belzinski, or however you say the dude's last name, spent a huge amount of time developing the controls, the tactical cover system. Like they were really, really involved with like wanting the game to move well,
Yeah,
even
and
at the
that
expense of story. Like
yeah,
that's why I
and
was
it
surprised when you said you thought the story was better than Halo. Like they really focused more on gameplay mechanics than focusing on the story. They have a
I
great
just
story.
like, and I want to make sure I make this clear because otherwise I'm going to get fucking messages for the next 3 years. Like, I don't think Halo sucks. Like, I like Halo. That's why we reviewed Halo 1 and 2. I like those games, and the story is good. Especially the story between Halo 2 and 3. I think is great. I'm just more invested in this as opposed to like, oh, we're in outer space and there's a giant ring that is going to blow everything up. It's like, oh, you're on Earth and these fucking creatures live in the Earth and they've come out and attacked us and now we're all fighting back again. I just think
Oh,
that's a cooler story.
you're gonna
That's
get
all.
roasted. You're gonna get
I just
roasted. They're not
well,
on Earth.
no, no. Well, you know what I'm saying, though, right?
Yeah, I
Like
do.
it.
I
You know
do.
what I mean? That's what I mean.
Yeah.
Like so.
I forget
But
what the
anyway,
name of the world they're on. It's like Sienna. That's a
yeah. But it's
pop
it's
singer.
it's basically it's Earth. Like it's the
Sarah,
same thing. It's like
Sarah,
it's us.
Sienna, something like that. Sienna.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Sarah,
I don't know.
Sarah.
Sarah.
Yeah.
Okay, okay. I'm like,
No, it's
I'm
Sarah. But that's
fucking
all I'm saying
17.
though is like I'm more attached to the idea of this story where like humanity, like dude, like I mean, we're trust me, bet your ass we're gonna talk Cole because Cole is the Cole trade is like he's a legend. But
Woo!
yeah, the idea that like this dude, and I know he doesn't play football, he plays fucking thrash ball or whatever they call it, but like the idea that like yeah, so these fucking creatures live in this planet that humanity lives on, and they've come out from underground and they're attacking us, and now everyone is just in this war against them. This dude was like a star. It'd be like if this happened to us and you were like in the trenches with like fucking LeBron James like standing beside you know what I mean? Like it's I just think that's such I just think that's a cooler story. I'm just more invested in it. Nothing against Halo. I like both franchises. I just like Gears better. And Marcus Phoenix is a badass. He's got so much testosterone that like I feel like a man when I'm listening to Marcus Phoenix talk. Like, and like you said, it's just the way they're all so big. Like they're so comically big.
Yeah, it just
Everybody with so
everything
much
feels
armor.
larger than life. Like
Yeah.
everything. The whole game feels like an intense experience.
But it doesn't feel like it doesn't feel stupid. Like it fits. Like it feels like you're like, yeah, I believe it. Like this works, even though it's obnoxiously big, fucking everybody. So I want to get back to the controls and stuff, but like, are we? Have you got any other thoughts on the multiplayer, or have you pretty well blown your load there? I have nothing to add to it, so I'm just
I
curious.
mean, it's hard to say. Like, I want to save some of it because I did play this game, like the multiplayer and everything. I really enjoyed, but I really took off with the multiplayer in Gears 2, and I
Okay.
just want to save some of that for if in the future ever.
Oh, we'll do a Gears 2 episode someday. No
Yeah,
question.
because like
So,
that's
all
where
right.
I started playing with friends. Whereas this
Okay.
one, I was playing the multiplayer. It was really competitive. It sparked in me like a competitive streak. Like I said, I was playing competitive paintball. This was what I did in the winter. This
Right.
is
Right.
you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And
Okay. All right. No, that's fair. I can get on board with that. All right.
yeah, but
Well then,
it was perfect. Like it was the perfect like I said, it could be an esport because it was balanced. The level designs were beautiful. Like everything about it was perfect.
right.
There was
Well, good.
nothing to complain about it.
And so now the multiplayer was apparently very good. I'm gonna agree with everything you just said because I'm like I believe it. I like the game. I believe that. But then
I mean,
there's also
you
the
would smash a controller if someone gave you. We called it the 1-2. I don't know if there was like a community name for it, where you got somebody punched you with the Nash or shotgun and then shot you and you exploded. Like I definitely broke a few Xbox
yeah that
controllers
would
when that
piss me.
happened.
That's why I don't play online because I would just get mad. I would get so fucking mad. Fuck, I would get so fucking mad. And then I'd have some kid
But
telling me that he fucked my mom while he's doing it, and I'd be so
yeah,
fucking angry.
naturally. I mean, that's
Fucking
the skill is being able to have relations with your mom while
yeah. I'd
killing
end up
someone with a
just
shotgun.
fucking little orphans. Anyways, fucking kids. Now, obviously, there's still a campaign which I want to get to, but I want to spend a few minutes talking about the controls because so like I hate to like I really hate to compare this to Halo because like they're different. It's third person versus first person. They're both great. I get it, but it's just they are the two flagship Xbox franchises, right? It's hard to not compare the two of them. And the thing about Halo is like Halo's fun and playing Halo's great and it feels very good. But you're right. When you jump, it does and I know they're in space, but like you float and shit like that. They're not always in space, but anyway, you float and shit like that.
Yeah.
Cover works, but cover works in the sense of like you kind of glide behind it and stand behind it. Whereas in
Yeah.
this one, like what fascinates me about the controls in Gears of War is the way that you can stick to cover, like you stick to it, like you are locked into that cover. But it's so easy to roll out of it or jump over it or do the thing where like you like say you're leaning against like a wall and then there's an alleyway, but then there's another wall on the other side of the alleyway. You can do like the spin and go to the other side and lean out and come back in. And the way that they make it feel so tight and locked in, like you can't accidentally leave cover, but it feels so fluid to leave cover.
Well,
It's
yeah. So
really remarkable, you know?
and that was a tactic in multiplayer specifically. Like in single player, you could just hide behind cover, and the way the AI kind of came at you was more linear, so you could just kind of move around more naturally, I guess. But
Yeah.
in multiplayer, like you do, like what do they call it, wall bouncing, where you would like that's how you'd move to make it so it was harder. So you would hit into cover and then bounce off. And I might be speaking about other Gears multiplayer if they didn't have it in one, but I'm pretty sure this was like I think it was in one. It might have been started in two. But you would like bounce off cover like that so that you'd be a harder target to hit. And it was so smooth. Like the fact
Right.
that it became a mechanic similar to like people who play Call of Duty, the dolphin slide, like slide cancel in Warzone 1, similar to that, like how you could move faster doing the slide cancel. This was that kind of movement. Like you
So
almost snaked around a corridor or something like that.
so instead of just running, you were
You
basically like Spider-Manning it from like cover to cover to cover type thing.
yeah, making it so
Oh,
that you
okay.
were serpentine pattern running through an area, or and you'd
It
move a little bit faster. Yeah.
like if you've never played it, to all of you listen, if by some fluke you've never played Gears of War, like first of all, I really, you really should. Like I get so many. I don't do this too often. I get a ton of messages from people being like, "You really should play insert game here." I'm gonna turn it around. If you haven't played Gears, you really should play some Gears. And like, I
No,
don't.
and don't start with Gears 5. Don't start with
No,
Gears
no,
4.
no.
Like Gears
Start
5
at the
is good.
beginning.
Gears 5 is good. Gears 4 is dog shit. Gears 3, 2, and 1 are amazing, and you should start at the beginning. They're
Yeah,
so good.
start at the beginning.
And
Yeah.
there's Gears of War Ultimate Edition. It still looks good. Like it looks good enough that you're
Yeah.
not feeling like you're playing a dated piece of shit. It's
No
good.
shit. Yeah, no doubt. That's the one I just played. And you guys can actually I was gonna plug it. I'll plug it again at the end of the episode, but I actually my whole playthrough of the Gears, it's the ultimate edition of the campaign of Gears of War 1 is actually up on YouTube now. So like go and have a look at
Oh,
it. It holds up. It looks tight.
on
Like it's
I thought it was on your OnlyFans. That's weird.
no, that's me playing as Marcus Phoenix. That's just me talking like this. Damn it, Staley. Come on. I can't do that voice. It's hard on my
you,
throat. The damn
you,
it, Dom.
you get like a
It's
fake
just me.
mustache.
It's just me throwing darts at a picture of Dom for being a useless piece of shit. But
Yeah.
we'll get there. We'll get there. So the controls, like the point being, like you really should play these games. Like it's really hard to do how fluid the cover system is justice just by talking about it. Like it's almost like it's like Lego. Like like
Yeah.
when you get into cover, you just click the two bricks together. Leaving cover is like separating two Lego bricks. Like it feels you never question whether or not you're in cover, and
I,
you can
and
always get out of it. I have
I,
one minor gripe with the controls. I'll get there in a second. What are you gonna say?
I can't think of a game that's done movement in the game as smoothly as the Gears franchise
Yeah,
as of yet today. Like I can't
agreed.
I honestly I'm trying to think of one. Like a lot of shooters do the Halo style movement. A lot of them have implemented like a little sprint, a ground slide, which feels fun. Like I love the ground slide. In any game that has a ground slide, a grappling hook, I'm for it.
Yeah.
I've never played another shooter, third person or first person, that moves as smoothly as this. And I would love to hear if anybody says there is one. I'd love to play that, but like,
Yeah. Yeah, me too. Somebody, oh fuck. People are gonna write in about it. There's Resistance. I never played Resistance, but when people were watching me play it, and they were like, "This has," I might have the game wrong, but I want to say people were saying it had Resistance vibes, but I
well,
don't know.
that
I don't know anything of it. Do you? I
that
don't
was
know
like a
anything about it.
PlayStation 3,
Yeah,
2 and
yeah,
3 franchise where it was like I want to say it was like is that where aliens travel back in time to World War II or something? Like I don't know. I'm
I have no idea. I just know people were telling me that it had those vibes, but I agree with you. I haven't played anything else that plays like this.
Yeah,
Especially
Gears predates Resistance. Fuck Resistance.
yeah,
Maybe it doesn't. I might have been
I
talking about
resist
my
your
ass.
resistance. But especially like that the cover system and everything feels so good, but they didn't sacrifice, in my opinion, they didn't really sacrifice story. They didn't sacrifice gunplay. They didn't like everything else is still very like sometimes you play a game where you're like like the graphics or the gameplay, something is exquisite, but it's at the expense of the rest of the game. And I think that's what makes this game so good is I don't feel like they half-assed anything. Like that they put all that time into this, like, and you know what's wild about that, Tyler, is that this is a new IP. Like
Hmm.
we don't get a lot of that these days. People are scared to try new IPs because
So
everybody wants more of the same. It's a
so
terrifying thing.
and with this being a new IP, I was really lucky that my foreman was like, "You have to play this." Like
Yeah.
because he was like, "Where have you been?" And I was like, "I don't know. I was at a rave at the fucking Polish Hall in Edmonton. I
Yeah.
don't know." He's like,
And
"Well, how did you miss this? This is a cultural phenomenon." And I was like, "Dude, you've never been to a rave. You don't understand. You miss everything else in the world."
and it
So
and it's
so he showed me the commercial, right?
right.
And like you and I have talked Halo 2, and we've talked about that commercial and what that did. Like that sent chills up a person's spine, being like, "Oh
Yeah.
my god, this is happening." Like you had like line up behind outside of Best Buy or whatever, GameStop, whatever you had, waiting for it. Like
Yeah.
like when the Phantom Menace came out. Like I remember nerds being lined up for blocks, being like, "You fucking nerds, I'll wait a week." This was
Yeah.
one of those things. So he showed me the commercial, and do you remember the commercial for Gears?
I don't.
So it was Marcus Phoenix, and he's picking up like a statue head or something like that, and it's this down tempo version of Mad World. Like you know the song Mad World? I'm
I
not gonna
don't.
sing it because I'm terrible at singing, but it
Okay.
is like
You know
it's
what,
this
dude? I do remember this commercial. Go ahead, but
it's
yes, I do.
it's
Yes.
so it's like the piano's playing, and
Yeah.
it's almost like this very soft singing of Mad World. And it's Marcus Phoenix. He picks up a statue, and it's like all around the world, there's familiar faces, and da 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 da. And then it's just kind of him like marching through this city, and you can tell it's war torn. It kind of looks like, like just blown up, right? And he's kind of running from something, but you don't get a lot from the trailer. Like you just see Marcus, and that's all. Like he just showed me that, and I was like, oh, I'm in. I don't even know what the fuck's going on, but I'm in. And you don't see the enemy till the very end, and Marcus like dives into this room or something like that, and he's in this like dark room, and it's just all these orangey glowing reddish lights, like the locust kind of glow.
Yeah.
And it's one of the big, I can't remember if it was what they call them, the big tunneling ones like that. Fuck, I can't remember. But then it's like a bunch of the grunts and everything all around, just all their lights glow up, and then he just starts, and it's like the world against him. Like it's insane, that commercial.
Yeah. I do remember that. I do. I do. Yeah.
My
It's
my 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 foreman showed me that. I was like, "Oh, I'm in. I will buy your Xbox 360. I will play this game, and I'm like, it blew my mind."
yeah, and it's insane that that it's a new IP. They clearly spent a ton of money on this thing. It was a massive gamble. And again, I'm not trying to compare it to Halo, but it's like Xbox, if there was one genre that Xbox had covered, it was shooter. And I know it's a third person shooter versus a first person shooter, but it was like you have a shooter. You have the shooter. Like at that time, Halo was so big that it was like, with all due respect, and I want PlayStation fans, you can yell at me, but like PlayStation and Nintendo did not have a shooter that could stand up to Halo. Like Halo was Mario for Xbox. And it was so big, and they were like, so we finally invested a ton of money and put a ton of we have a new IP, a new franchise, and it's going to be another shooter. And it seems so crazy to say that. But then it came out, and yeah, it was just like, wow, this is fucking on. Like, it's just, to me, like anytime you sink a ton of money into a new franchise and you try something different, there's always that chance that even if it's really good, it just doesn't work. It just doesn't catch on. It just doesn't hit, right? And I just feel like this game was too good to not succeed. Like there was just no way. Do you know what I mean? It
Oh
was
yeah.
just too good a video game. It had to work. It had to work. I do have one qualm with the controls, and it's pretty well the only negative I have about this game, and I want to get into that. I love the cover system. And if you've never played it, when you get up to a piece of cover, you hit A, and then your character gets into the cover. You hit A again, and then point out whichever way you want to go, and you either leap over the cover, step back from the cover, spin out of the cover, whatever it is you want to do. A is also the run button. You hold down A to run. I do find that run screen, it looks cool, but I find it a little bit disorienting. Like the way it shakes up and down while you're running, like there's a cameraman behind you, like running and following you. I fucks with me a little bit, not a big deal. But you also hit A to do like your dodge, like the dive somersault roll. And if you're in a really crowded area with a lot of cover, sometimes you do like, I meant to go into cover, but I dove, or I meant to dive, but I went into cover. And it's
Yeah,
a
yeah, yeah.
minor thing. It's really the only complaint I have, but it just feels like there is an awful lot of this game mapped to the A button. And when you get into a situation where you could do 2 or 3 things, it can be difficult sometimes to get them to do the one thing you want them to do. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, yeah. No, I definitely ran into that. That's like the controller breaking movement in a multiplayer game. Is if you were hitting A and you wanted to dive to cover and your guy runs out in the open.
Mhm.
Oh, oh fuck.
It's the or
Then you're
like yeah,
dropping $60 on a new controller, and you're going, yeah,
right, yeah.
uh,
But
I
like
have anger
lit
issues.
I literally like I'm trying to think of like the other like because I want to get any poo-pooing out of the way so we can move into the rest of the good. I guess the only other complaint I have, and it's really not even a fair criticism, and you have to remember again, this game is fucking retro. It's 17 years old. Uh, when you play single player in the campaign, Dom, Baird, and Cole are the Dom in particular. Looking at you, Dom, like the most useless sack of shit I've ever played a game with. Like the amount of watch my playthrough, the amount of times I'm like, dude, the final fight against Ram, and you're on that train. I'm in cover,
Yeah, yeah.
and Dom's like, I'll go count his nose hairs, and I'm like, no, get it covered, Dom. And it's like he's dead, and I'm like, just you useless. I stopped picking them up. I was like, you know what? This is what you get. Fucking lay there
Yeah.
and bleed out, you useless
His
sack of shit.
his whole purpose is for multiplayer. Like
Yeah,
his whole
like
purpose. Could you play 4 player in this? Could you have Cole and Barrett as well?
not in the campaign. In the campaign, it was only 2 player.
Oh, yeah. So that's all
Because
Dom was there for. Was just
yeah,
for your
100%,
buddy
yeah.
to jump in.
And listen, I like
Because
Dom. Like he's your best
I was
friend.
gonna
He's a good
say
guy.
if you could play Cole and Barrett in multiplayer, everybody's trying to get Cole Train.
No question.
Nobody's wanting to play Dom. Barrett is
No
like, all right, I
question.
guess I'll be Barrett. And then the last guy, like your little brother, is like, yeah, you get to be Dom. Fuck you.
Yeah, Dom is like I just like I like the guy as far as the story goes, and we're not going to get into anything that happens after Gears 1 as far as story goes. So don't worry about that. We're only talking Gears 1 today. But I just and again, I don't like I'm not going to take any points off it when we scored or anything. I understand AI wasn't what it is now 17 years ago, but it's just fuck he's so useless. And there's just the occasional moment where you could really use him. And it's like, no, he tripped. And it's like, fuck me. So I'm trying to
He
think of like other
freed you
complaints.
from prison.
He
What
did do
else do
that.
you want? What else do
That's
you want? He
that's all he brought
unleashed
to the
the
team.
beast. Yeah, he
Yeah.
unleashed Marcus Phoenix.
And then that was it. Fucking useless. He's the
he
Homer Simpson of fucking fighting wars.
he
Um,
single-handedly saved the war by unleashing Marcus Phoenix, who
oh God.
single-handed.
You're right. In a way, he did. Yes, he did. I'm trying to think like because I want to move into the rest of the good stuff, but I don't think I have any other complaints. Is there anything else you want to bitch about before we get into happy?
No, I I love this game. I don't have any
Me too.
gripes.
Okay, then good. Then here's what we're gonna do. We're gonna take a quick break so my sponsors can say something, and then when we come back, it's gonna be like at least another probably half hour of us just deep throating Marcus
Yeah.
Phoenix and Gears
The
of War. We'll be
the sponsors are saying something. Tyler's gonna go wake up his wife or whatever.
yeah, we'll be right back. Okay, so we got the like 8 seconds of stuff we didn't like out of the way. It was mostly just me, and it was mostly just my inabilities, controls, plus Dom being he's a piece of shit. Oh, now we can just talk about the rest of the good stuff, dude. If we're talking about the controls, the cover system and stuff is great. The shooting feels fine. I like that there's no big superhero space jumps and shit like that. That's all well and good.
Yeah.
I would get hate mail for the rest of my existence if we did not talk about the active reload system
Oh man,
and how awesome that fucking system is. It's
so
sick,
satisfying. So
right?
satisfying.
But so frustrating when you miss it. And it's like, but it's not controller throwing frustrating. It's just the like,
Ah,
smarten
piss.
up. Yeah, it's
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
smack
yeah,
your head like dumbass. So if you've
yeah,
never
yeah.
played it, you hit right bumper to reload your gun. But then while the gun is reloading, a bar shows up underneath your ammo, and in that, as though the bar moves like from left to right, takes 2 or 3 seconds to fill up, and then your gun is reloaded. But somewhere in the middle of that bar, there's a little highlighted section, and if you hit right bumper again, the bar's movement is going through that highlighted section, you skip the rest of the reload, and your gun is instantly reloaded. But if you miss it, it takes an additional second or something to load your gun. And when you're like in like a head, like, so you're in cover, and I'm talking campaign because I have no friends, but when you're in cover and you pick off like an enemy and you've got about a half a clip left in your gun and you fall back into cover to just because that's the first thing you do. As soon as you kill an enemy, you have to reload. So
Yeah,
you kill this
naturally.
enemy. Yeah, exactly. You fall back into cover, you hit the reload button, and then if you nail that active reload timing and he goes like, yeah, and then you hop, it's full in like half a second, you're out shooting again. I don't know. You're right. I don't know what it is about it because it's such a simple little thing. And I don't know what it is about it that is so fucking satisfying. But it's I don't know how to explain it. It's like cracking your knuckles. It just feels perfect, you know?
Well, and then you get bonus damage if you land it just right. So your gun all
Oh
of a
yeah,
sudden
right.
works better, right? So, like in single player, I would use a Lancer all day just because it was fucking cool and having the chainsaw was
Of
awesome, right?
course. Yeah.
Multiplayer, hammer burst, and the Nasher shotgun. And when you were using that hammer burst and you landed that active reload, you were like 2, 3 shot dropping people. Like it was insanely powerful. So good. Like
And
the
it was really easy to master. Like
yeah.
it was not a difficult, like it might sound complicated to someone that's never played it. Within 15 minutes, you're hitting 3 out of 4 of them. Like
Well,
it's not a hard thing,
I
you
don't
know.
think it was in any other game at this point. Like it was very innovative
Yeah, I mean,
for
I
that.
don't know shooters, but I don't think so, no.
I don't think it was around. And like people who grew up with, or, like grew up after this game and everything, if they went back and played it, it would seem like a simple mechanic. But you have
Yeah,
to keep in mind, like these things were new at the time,
yeah.
and it was just awesome. It just added like, it wasn't a layer to the cake, but it was like sprinkles on the top of it. Just like
Yeah, that's a
you know,
great analogy. It was the sprinkles, and it was just the only thing that frustrated me about it, and it's not a complaint, but if you run your clip down to empty, your character will automatically start reloading their gun, and the number of times, especially using like a one-shot gun like a sniper rifle, I like the long shot, I don't know what it the muscle memories, I take the shot, then I hit reload.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
And you take the shot, Marcus starts reloading on his own, then I hit reload, but the bar has already started going across. It's not in the right area, and I fuck up the active reload you know what I mean? And like it took me a couple of shots when I would use something like that or the torque bow to remember, take your shot, then let that bar start, and then just be ready to hit it when it's going up. But
Yeah.
if I'm manually starting the reload, I almost always hit it. And I don't know, I guess maybe it's just one more way to kind of keep you engaged in the combat too. You know what I mean? Like you don't just shoot and then hide in cover and let your character reload his gun. You're watching it and trying to hit that timing in it. I think in a small way it just kind of keeps you engaged in the combat, because sometimes the combat, like in the campaign, some of the combat like some of the battles can go quite a while. Like there's a lot of enemies,
Hmm.
and it never feels boring, and I do think part of it is you're always looking for that active reload. It just feels so fucking good.
Yeah.
um
Well, and like building on that, on it never feeling boring, like absolutely. So lots of shooters, it just feels like wave after wave of the same
yeah,
thing. So
yeah,
like Halo, I know there's a lot of comparison. We're doing a lot with Halo, but they are like, these two games were one upping each other for the first, well, for Halo 2 and 3, and then this one's 1, 2, and 3.
yeah.
All of those two for the Halo and these ones for the Gears, all were one upping each other. So that comparison is just going to be built in. But Halo, like you had elites and grunts in Halo 1. Well, brutes were in 2, right? So you had, or were they just in
I,
3?
I don't remember.
It all blends together. But either way,
Yeah.
like you didn't have like that, and jackals. Sorry, but you didn't have like a myriad of enemies, and it's the same in this. It's not like there were a ton of diverse enemies, but it still felt fresh every fight. Like, it never
Sure.
felt stagnant. Like you had I don't even know what they're called. You had the little
I
like
don't know. I don't know any of the enemies' names, so don't
yeah,
yell
you
at
had
me.
you had the little greebly guys that would hop around that you would just boot fuck if they were in your
Yeah.
way.
Yeah.
Your basic locust troop, and then you had tons of like not tons, but just enough to keep it really. I don't know. Maybe it was the reload, the movement, everything. Like it never felt
Well,
stagnant. I never felt like I was like, oh yeah, another wave of shithead.
no, I agree with you. And I was saying this on my playthrough. I think one of the things that Gears does brilliantly is they really balance the whole campaign experience. Like there'll be times where there's not it's like the cutscenes never feel too long, but they're never too short, they're never too long. I'm always engaged in what's happening. I'm interested in the characters and everything. But then when I'm out of the cutscenes, you'll go through segments where you're just walking but not really fighting anybody, but it doesn't feel boring and doesn't go on for too long. Then when you get into a fight, it feels like you're excited to fight, but then the
Yeah,
fight doesn't go long enough to get sick of it. They really do a great job of I get yeah, just balancing the gameplay with the storytelling. Like, when you play Metal Gear Solid, like no disrespect to Metal Gear Solid, but like there's some cutscenes where you're like, holy fuck. Like, let's go. Let's play the game now. Like that's just the
yeah,
one
yeah,
that comes
yeah.
to mind for me. There's never a time in Gears of War where I'm like, these cutscenes are getting boring. There's never a time where I'm like, there's too much combat. I'm sick of this. They really just nailed the balance of
Yeah,
everything in this game. Everything always
absolutely.
feels fresh.
Well, and I was like, I loved fighting a wave of enemies. Then you'd hear just this deep growl of boom, and one of those boomer guys would come out
Fucking
and just
boomers, yeah.
boom. Oh
Boom.
man, like yeah,
Those
like the combat was
motherfuckers.
so good, so good.
Yeah, it was. And you're right, especially when you consider that, like, at the end of the day, 75% of the combat in this game is just hiding behind shit, shooting the same few enemies over and over, and then lobbing the grenades into the emergence holes, which I always thought was a great mechanic too.
It was
Um,
bugging me, so I looked up a list of the enemies. So your locusts are the drone, the boomer, the Theron guard. Those are the guys with the torque bows.
I hate those
Cantus,
fuckers.
the
Dude,
ranger,
sorry,
and the
just a quick
berserker.
okay. I just wanted to say there's nothing more frustrating. It is it again. There's in Halo when you get stuck with a plasma grenade
Yeah,
and you
yeah,
like
yeah.
the countdown to death, and when a torque bow gets stuck in you and you're like for fuck's sakes, and you're
So
just waiting it down. It fucking drives me crazy. I'm sorry. Continue. I'm sorry.
And
I
that's
hate
where
those
like if
guys.
you're playing co-op where you have a partner, you get hit with that, and then you just try to like roll out so you're somewhere safe. So when it knocks you down, because it's a one shot and you're knocked down, your
Yeah, yeah,
partner can come and pick you back up. Or
yeah.
the Cantus will come by and take the torque bow and stretch it out while you're on the ground and aim at your head and then pop your
Fuck
head off.
that fucking torque bow fucking drives me crazy. It's a great weapon when you're using it, but
Hmm.
fuck me, it drives me crazy when you get shot by it. If you've never played it, it's like a bow and arrow, and the arrow goes in you, and it takes like 2 seconds, and then it explodes.
Yeah,
And
it's
when it
like
gets
it's like a torque. It's like a what do they call that? Like it's like a bow, but it's a gun. So it like torques up, and then you hear it just,
yeah,
and you'll
and it's
see
so
this glow.
satisfying. Yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
landing a shot with it because it shows you the path of your torque arrow.
Yeah, yeah,
Oh,
and it feels tight. When you lean out from behind cover and you take your torque bow out and you're like, that path of your arrow starts out just like, limp dick flopping into the ground, and it just like and straightens out, and as you got this straight line, then you let go, and you see the arrow like sticking a boomer or somebody, and then you can just go back into cover, worry about your active reload, and be like, sucks to be you. And it feels
oh
so
yeah.
good when you do it to someone, but when it gets you, I'm like, this is such bullshit. Fuck off.
So
And then it explodes. Fuck you.
and the active reload, if you landed it on the torque bow, then instead of like the whatever 2 seconds it takes to get a full charge, it's like pretty much instantaneous your next shot. So it's
Right.
just
Yeah, it's a fucking awesome weapon. But that's where I was gonna go, is like, just considering how much of the combat feels the same, I never got bored of it. Like Halo, like, dude, speaking of Halo 1, I guess for the sake of it, like the library, fuck me. I hate that fucking part. Or whatever it's called, where you go and deal with the flood for the first time. Is it the
yeah, yeah,
library? Is
yeah.
that what it's called? I
I
hate that
can't remember.
fucking part. Whereas like I never got bored of the combat in this. I was always like right as it started to get a little thin, it would stop and I'd be like perfect, and then I get some story and then it would come back and it'd be perfect every time. Fucking it's magnificent. I wanted to talk about the weapons too while we're on the topic of the torque bow. Have you
Sure.
got a favorite weapon? Is it the torque bow?
Um, my favorite weapon was in Gears 2. So for Gears 1, like I said, my combo for multiplayer was Hammerburst and Gnasher, and I would always go for the torque bow. I always avoided the long shot because I was playing it on the console, and I sucked at sniping in console days. Now that I'm PC and I've played like Gears 4 and 5 on the PC, I'd go for the long shot as exclusively as the torque bow. But yeah,
Okay.
torque bow was like the weapon if I could get it. I also played co-op for a bunch of it, so uh, lots of times I'd let my partner take it because he was better than me, and then just roll with the Hammerburst. I
Right.
loved the Locust main machine gun versus the Lancer.
Really? See, I like the
Uh,
Lancer, but I don't think there's a gun in this game I don't like. But
I would have
I like the Lancer a lot.
I would have loved to be in the meeting when they were coming up with weapons for this. They're like, all right. So I'm thinking a machine gun. They're like, yeah, pretty standard, yeah, but future machine gun, so it's huge, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. And there's a big fucking chainsaw on the end.
Yeah. I
Wait,
imagine
what?
like
What? How the fuck does that work?
I
You know, a
I
big chainsaw on the end.
I picture
Yeah.
they'd already designed Marcus Phoenix, and they're like, "Okay, look at this guy," and he's like, "Hey, I'm Marcus Phoenix," and they're like, what would that guy use to fight?" And they're like, "How about a giant rifle with a chainsaw on the front?" And they're like, "That's this guy." Yeah,
Yeah.
like, "Oh,
And
I'm
the
out of
board
ammo.
and the
I'll just slice you down." Like it's
yeah,
awesome. It's so
and the
badass.
meeting unanimously was like, "Yeah, no, that tracks." And then they were like, "All
Yeah,
right, all right, all right. So Dom, we're thinking a very small pistol,
yeah,
the
yeah.
snub
No
pistol. We're
shit.
gonna call
Yeah,
it the snub pistol, aka the Dom."
the
And for the
Dom.
Coltrane, he'd have a fucking bow and arrow with explosive tip arrows, but it's also a gun. Now, like, it
Yeah.
would just be an insane meeting coming up with these fucking
The
guns.
I love the guns in this. I actually quite like the shotgun too. Like the
Mm.
shotgun's pretty bitchin' in this game. The Nasher, I like it a lot.
In multiplayer, it's your go-to. Like that's the skill. That's if you can't figure out the shotgun, you can't play multiplayer.
Is that right?
If you don't have that locked down and you don't have it figured out, most people don't use the assault rifles like the Lancer or the Hammerburst. They use the shotgun. It's all about figuring out how to close the distance and then use the
Yeah,
shotgun or get a sniper rifle.
yeah, and that's what I was gonna say too. Like in the campaign, at least, I actually the long shot, the sniper rifle in this game, that thing fuck you up, man. I'm a big fan of that gun too. Like it's quite satisfying to land a shot with the long, like a nice headshot with the long shot feels fucking great. And I like all the guns. I really do enjoy. Like they all feel kind of different, but they all are easy to learn how to use. And then obviously the grenades, giant mace looking fucking grenades on chains
Oh
that you
man.
spin around and then lob into holes and fuck me. I just
Could
yeah.
you
Oh,
could you set
sorry, go
traps
ahead.
with them in this one? Could you set traps with the grenades in this one, or did they introduce that in two?
I think that was in 2. Like this one you could just
Okay.
throw them and then they would beep 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 and then explode.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So that was a new thing in two. But fuck, it
Um
was good. And I loved the path because it would have the little the
yeah,
little blue glowing line and then the little ticks of how it's yeah, I don't know. It wouldn't like bounce or anything, but it just looked like visually appealing and was satisfying to
it would
whip it out and
dude, yeah. When you were in like a big firefight and then you heard another emergence hole open up, if you never played it, holes open up in the ground, in the earth, whatever the fuck you want to call it,
yeah, and the whole
and the
premise of the
enemies,
story is that this enemy comes from underground. The
yeah,
beginning of the war, they call it E-Day, 14
yeah,
years before the game starts, and it's Emergence Day. That's the first
yeah.
time that the locusts come out.
They're coming out of these holes, and when you're in the middle of a fight, these holes will open up, and enemies start crawling out of them. But if you can throw a grenade into the hole, it'll close that hole down, and it's so satisfying when you're like fighting off enemies like to your left, then a hole opens on the right, and you really quickly jump out of cover, line up the shot with that grenade, and watch that little arc and watch it go in there, and you're like, I don't even have to look back there now because that grenade's gonna take care of that hole. I'm going back to fighting these guys. You feel like fucking James Bond or something. Like it's just so badass
Oh,
to make these
absolutely.
shots. I love it. The other weapon I wanted to bring up quickly was the Hammer of Dawn.
You
And
have, and that's you have to bring it up. You,
it's
I don't think
so
you can get
awesome.
that. I don't think you can get it in multiplayer. Like that. That is the God gun. That's the
Yeah.
BFG or whatever you want to call it.
Yes, it is. It's totally the BFG. If you never played that again, you never played it. The Hammer of Dawn actually doesn't have any ammo in it. What it is it's like a gun. You can only use it at certain times in the game. You have to be outside. You point it at whatever you want to see shot. You line up a beam, and if you can keep the beam lined on your target, like a laser sight type thing, if you can keep it locked on for about, I don't know, 2 or 3 seconds, it like
Yeah.
beep, 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 beep. And then a satellite from the sky just rains hell down on
Yeah.
whatever you're fighting. And when you watch somebody there's one part where you have to fight like one of those berserkers, and you're like the guys that can't see, but they hear you and they're really badass.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah.
Marcus is
And
like whispering into his headset. He's like, "We need the hammer now." And then you finally get it, and you're lighting this thing up with the hammer of dawn and just watching it burn from this like beam of light coming from the sky. And it just, oh my god, the hammer of dawn fucking turns me on. It's so sick.
and
I love
and the
that gun.
berserker is like 4 times the size of the normal locust. They when they introduce him, just to put the scale of like how awesome this gun is and the fucking beast that it takes down. He's being held back by chains by 2 of the locust normal soldiers, which are like just like bigger than Marcus. And
Yeah.
he just takes him and like fucking whips one against the wall, squishes the other one, like just totally manhandles him, and then charges the team. Like
Yeah.
awesome,
Oh, it's
awesome.
so sick. And then to light him up with I fucking love the Hammer of Dawn. I love the weapons of this game. And there's usually a lot of ammo laying around. They're usually pretty forgiving because they know there's gonna be a lot of firing in this game. It's fun. I just
And
it's a
and you can
fun
pick up the
shooter.
enemy's guns, like the hammer burst, like
Yeah.
the gun I like is an enemy gun. The Nasher is an enemy gun. The bolt lock pistol, bolt lock, whatever it's called. The revolver is like those are enemy guns that you can pick up. So and
Yeah.
they have good guns that are you're not like underwhelmed when you pick up their guns. You don't have a chainsaw on your gun, so
No.
maybe that's a little
And then
underwhelming. But
like and it's not just like I say, it's one thing this game does so well is it balances the like storytelling with like I've already talked about this, but like one part in particular that stands out to me is the part where you and Dom are going through like the back streets of like an old town or whatever, and the krill, I think is what it's called, those little bat things
yeah,
that fly and eat you in like seconds.
that's
They'll
when you're going
only
to the phoenix, like the
to get
phoenix.
the car.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. To
I'm
get
thinking the
there.
part where you're going to get the old beater, and it's like the giant fucking car,
Oh,
but
that part. Yeah, yeah,
that
yeah.
part.
I thought you
So you're
meant
like,
like when you're leaving the estate and they're chasing you, the Krillers
no,
chasing
no.
you.
Although that's awesome too.
Hmm.
But no, like so if these krill are like these fucking swarms of these like bat things, and if they catch you in the dark, you can't fight them. They'll just kill you. Like within a second, they'll kill you.
And I
But
think
they won't go in.
General Ram controls them, right? Like he has some
Yeah,
kind of
he's like surrounded by them when you fight him at the end. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, yeah. So he has like
Um.
some kind of psychic thing or sonar thing with them, and
Yeah,
yeah,
but they don't like light. And so there's this whole part where you're not even you do fight enemies at a couple of instances, but a majority of this one part of the game is just you walking through this dark city trying to find areas with light, or there's like propane tanks laying around you have to shoot so they start blowing up, so there's like some form of light for you to stand in, and you're basically just going from light patch to light patch really quickly to avoid the krill swooping in and eating you. And it's so creepy, but it's so well done, and it's just that's what I mean. Like they really just nail that. You never do one thing for too long. I know some people don't like the one part where you're driving the vehicle and all the krill are coming at you and you have to shoot them with the UV lights, but I
yeah,
actually
yeah.
don't find that part that bad. Some
Well,
people
and
don't like it. I didn't think it was that bad.
they like in at spoiler alert at the end of this game, like you kill all the Krill, so you don't see any of those mechanics in the rest of the
Yeah.
franchise. Like that's done. I so and one of the cool things about that beater you get, I forget what they call him, like the Forgotten or whatever, like the dude who gives you that car. The whole thing with this, there's a whole backstory before like they really did think out the story. I kind of give it shit, but it is more thought out than I thought. That guy is like part of a whole backstory where like the cog were oppressing them and they're like a bunch like there's a whole history to this universe that isn't covered in the game. So they did think it out. So they introduced like a series of characters who are like, from a whole nother story that's not even in the game or touched upon, which is really intelligent writing. Because then you could look it up if you want. You could read the books. You could go deeper if you want to, but you don't have to.
Yeah.
I
Yeah,
love
no
that. I
question.
think that
Yeah.
I'm a nerd for that kind of stuff. Because then I'm the type of dude like after this podcast, I'm like, oh, I got some credits on Audible. Maybe I'll get a Gears of War book and listen to it.
Yeah, I'm tempted to look up some of the books now too, because now I'm fascinated. So, okay, so we've talked about the controls, we've talked about the battles, we've talked about how awesome the game looks and all that kind of stuff. We got to talk about the we have to do all the characters, but we at least have to do the main four. and then a little bit about Ram. I frankly think General Ram is kind of lame, but that's just me. He's what
He is. The queen is fucking
the
awesome.
Queen's
Like
the Queen's badass.
because I don't think they really show her to the till the end, right? Like
The
it's
very end.
mostly you hear her voice sometimes, kind of
Yeah.
taunting you throughout the game. But Ram is like, the big bad, the lumbering. He's your nemesis from Resident Evil. You know what I mean? Like he's just
That's exactly what I was thinking. Nemesis. Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
just like, "Ah, I've seen this before, whatever,
Yeah.
right?
And then
But
you
the queen's voice, like it's sultry, it's a little bit sexy. You're kind of going like, what's with this bitch? Like, what's she gonna look like? And then when you see her, you're like, that's not what I thought was going on.
No.
What the hell is going on? And it blows
Yeah.
your mind. Ram is lame. Like,
Yeah,
I mean,
Ram kind of
he's
sucks.
he's a very good warm up for the next two games, and they did have in mind doing a sequel. So like, he was a very good like, I don't know, goon boss. Like, what was that stupid gold guy from Power Rangers? Like, Rita was the main bad guy,
Yeah.
but then she
Yeah.
had her like golden winged like monkey dude.
Yeah.
That guy.
Yeah.
That's what Ram is. He's
Totally.
that guy, the little bitch that gets his ass whooped every episode.
Yeah, totally. But like it's so he's the final boss in the game and he's just whatever. I was like, I want to see if you had anything to add to him. I don't really care. But when it comes to the heroes, obviously there's Marcus, there's Dom, and then there's Baird and Cole. So I wanna so Marcus is the main character. He's the one you've all seen. He's on the cover. He's a guy that talks like this. I gotta say, like, on the surface, he seems like a pretty lame character. He's just the classic, like, I'll fight everybody kind of thing. But like Marcus is he's kind of dope. I'm a Marcus Phoenix fan. I like
Is
the
that
guy.
your go to?
No. I mean, it's Cole. Cole's the guy. But
Everybody.
we
Cool.
got to save the best for last.
When Coltrane wasn't in 4 and 5, fuck those games.
I mean, Cole. Yeah.
I
But
don't know.
well,
Maybe
no,
he
no.
was in 4. I can't remember, but
Yeah,
he's
I
not
don't
in
remember
5.
either, to
So
be honest.
fuck it. Fuck it.
But like, so Marcus is like the main character of the game, and uh, he's fine. And then Dom is like his best friend, breaks him out of prison at the very beginning of the game. Dom's and like, listen, when they're just talking to each other, I quite like Dom. Great guy, good friend. Seems like a good guy. Seems like the kind of guy you'd want to go for a beer with. Seems like a really nice guy. As long as I don't have to fight enemies with him when he's controlled by a computer, I have no problem with Dom. He's fine. They obviously do more to flush these characters out in 2 and 3 and stuff like that. But Marcus and Phoenix are like the main two. And then a little bit later in the game, they meet up with two other guys, Cole and Baird. Baird is like the pretentious asshole of the group. He's like the tech guy. Baird in later games turns into like a pretty good dude.
Yeah.
But
But
I like him in this one. I like that he's just kind of an asshole to everybody.
well, he just doesn't give a fuck who Marcus is. Like until Marcus proves himself, he's like, I don't give a shit
Yeah.
about you. Right?
Yeah.
Like and Marcus is a criminal in this game. Like he's broken out of prison by Dom. So Baird treats him like that. Like you're a piece of shit. Like that's his attitude towards him.
And I don't remember who their like when they first start fighting. I can't remember who their commanding officer is, but then Ram kills him, and then the general guy. Yeah,
What the fuck
and then
was the bald guy's name?
I don't remember. But then the general guy tells Marcus, like, he knows he doesn't like Marcus. He knows he's like a war criminal or whatever, but he's like, clearly this guy is kind of a badass. We're gonna put him in charge. And you're right. Baird clearly has no interest in listening to this man. But I like the way that
they're from different squads too. Like Baird and Cole are from Alpha, and then Marcus and Dom and whatever the other two guys were from Delta.
Yeah.
So it's like they're different. Yeah.
I like the way they interact with each other because you can tell that Baird and Phoenix don't I mean, Baird doesn't really like anybody. I mean, I think he likes Cole, but he's kind of a knob to Dom and Marcus. But at the same time, like
everybody loves Cole, even in the game.
Of course,
nobody gives shit to Cole.
No, exactly. But I will say that, like, in some ways, like, Cole's the coolest character. Marcus is the leader. Dom is the quiet religious guy that ends up going crazy. Shout out to him, gets that reference. And Baird, like, I like his interactions with everybody the best because he chirps everybody. He tells everyone to fuck off. That but like you can tell that that Marcus and Dom are like, this dude's pretty smart. He's the tech guy. He's the one that figures out the plan. We're like, we kind of need him around. And you can tell that when shit really hits the fan, Baird's like, all right, I'll do what you say. Let's stay alive. You know what I mean? Like, I really enjoy the way he interacts with everybody. I think he maybe he's not the coolest character, but I think in this game, he maybe is the best written because he's a little bit of he's a different flavor to everybody else. You
Yeah,
know,
yeah, yeah.
I like Baird.
No,
And then
that's fair.
of course, there's Augustus Cole, the Cole Train. Everyone that's played this knows exactly who it is. If you've never played it, Cole is the coolest character in the history of Gears of War. He's
Yeah,
maybe the coolest character in the history of video games, quite frankly.
he's definitely a top 5.
He's
I
so awesome.
I cannot tell you how many times playing multiplayer, playing this game, that you'd land like you'd have the boom shot or like a torque bow, you land your shot, and then over the mic it's just woo! Coltrane, baby! So often, so often.
If you've never played it, yeah, Cole he used to be like basically it's not football. I remember they call it thrash ball or something, but basically he was like a football player. And now he's in the war fighting against the locusts like everybody else is. But he's like people recognize him. Like you go into some of like these slums and some of these people are like, "Aren't you Cole Train?" And they're like they want autograph. Like there's one point where you get separated from Baird and Cole and you're talking to Baird about how's it going back there. And Baird's like, "Oh, it's great. Cole found some fans and now he's over there taking selfies with everybody or something like that." But he's also this like badass in war and everything. He's this big mean. He's loyal as fuck. There's a part in a future. I don't want to
Oh
spoil
man.
anything from the future games, but I'm sure you know exactly what I'm talking about. There's a part in a future game with Cole, and it's you hear the voice, and it's like you just want to hug the man because you're like, holy fuck, he's back. It's the Cole Train. He's the coolest fucking character in the whole like the whole world has gone to shit. Everyone's dying. This could be the end of humanity. And this dude is like a total badass ex-football playing 7'8", 400-pound Michelangelo from the Ninja Turtles.
Yeah,
Like
yeah,
he's
yeah.
still just making
God,
jokes and
it's
he's
so
so
funny that you
happy.
said that. It's so as you were talking about the 4 characters, I was like, man, it's kind of like the Ninja Turtles,
It is kind of like the Ninja
but
Turtles.
their personalities are mixed up. Like Dom's a little bit like Leo, Marcus is a little bit like Raph, Coltrane's Michelangelo though. Like
Yeah.
that's
And
just all there is.
Baird's
Baird's
the
like a
tech guy.
bitchy, yeah, Baird's a bitchy Donatello. Like he's like
Yeah.
Donatello, but the fucking sassiness is turned to 11. So fuck, I just looked up the guy who plays Coltrane. He is the Coltrane. Not only is he Coltrane in the Gears series, like he's an actual actor, and he was in what there was a football movie, any given Sunday, as
Yeah.
one of the security guards. Like,
Dude,
oh, I
he's a
actually
big
thought he
man.
was gonna be in the movie. Fuck,
No, he's a
that's less lame.
he's a big man. He was a pro wrestler at one point. Holy fuck, he's a big man.
Oh
Lester
yeah,
Spate? I'm not sure Spate. I'm not sure how to say his name.
Spate,
But yeah, this dude like
Coltrane.
yeah, Coltrane. This dude like signs autographs. Like, oh my god! Like, I there was no way we were gonna get through the show without spending a couple minutes just blowing smoke up Cole's ass because he's the best character in the game, and I really enjoy listening to all 4 of them interact with each other and stuff. Like, that's another thing that it's like Final Fantasy 15 done good. Like it's 4
Yeah,
characters interacting with each other in a cool way instead of in a shit way. Fuck, I hate Final Fantasy 15.
no, no, but
Yeah,
that's exactly it. Is like the dialogue is smooth, and it's not necessarily like a team where they're like, "Hey, buddy, good job. Oh, did you see that one?" Like because these guys are thrown together. So Marcus and Dom get along really well because they're buddies from before.
yeah.
But like there is, mutual respect, but there's a lot of like, chirping back and forth. Like you just get like very organic feeling dialogue.
Yeah. It was so well written. All the voice actors and actresses in this game kill it. Like there's not a bad casting in the game. It's just like I guess we're kind of starting to get ready to wrap this thing up. There's probably more people are gonna be like, oh, why do you talk about this and this? But it's like we've been going for over an hour already, and I'm like, it's just this game literally has practically no faults. It plays good, it looks good, the story's good, the voice acting is good, it sounds good. Apparently, the multiplayer is very good, the weapons are cool. Like,
Yeah.
where's the fault? Outside of the only thing I can complain about at all is that so much stuff is mapped to the A button. Occasionally, it can be a nuisance.
Yeah.
That's the only real complaint I have.
Well, and
Um,
and
I
I
love it.
well I was gonna say it gets better, but I was like, oh, I switched to the PC, so
No, there you go. No, it's
uh,
yeah, I just it's just a really fun like I replayed it like I say over the last week or so and it was just like fuck me like all the enemies look so badass and I love the fact that like these enemies are coming from underground, so where do you go? Fucking underground. And it's like
yeah,
that's so sick that in the first game of the series you're going right to their fucking house. Like and then
oh,
it
love
doesn't
it.
work, but then you come up with a new plan and And then at the very end, after you kill Ram, which I guess that's my other minor complaint, the Ram fight kind of sucks. It's not.
It it
It's kind of sucks.
it felt like a bridge. You know, like you'll watch a season of a show and you'll be like, or like the second movie in a trilogy, and you're like, oh, that was the bridge movie for the third movie. Like
Hmm.
that. That's what it felt like. It was like, oh, that fight was the bridge. Because then after you
Yeah,
get the cutscene and they introduce the queen, where you see her,
yeah.
they're like,
And you're like, yeah.
oh,
Now it's gonna get good.
oh,
Yeah,
I see.
yeah.
So
Uh, yeah,
Well, and I mean, like you were saying, we got no big gripes with the game. The reason That's the reason why it's the fifth game just came out. They're in development of the sixth game. They call it $1 billion franchise because it has grossed billions of dollars, like $1 billion worldwide with just the games. They have a film coming out or a TV adaptation. I think they said a film, and like the first game cost them $10 million to make.
yeah.
Like that's
Unreal.
unreal for a shot in the
Struck
dark. Like they didn't know
struck the
this was
law.
going to be huge.
Struck oil. Like,
Yeah.
which is ironic because the game is underground. But yeah,
Yeah,
they struck
instead of
oil.
oil, it's glowing oil and it's
Yeah,
what do they call it? Emulsion?
I don't know, but I always imagine. Yeah, you're right, and I always imagine that stuff smells like, when you're cleaning like a forklift battery, that really powerful acidic smell.
Yeah,
That's what I
yeah,
imagine that stuff smells like.
yeah.
I hate that
There's
smell.
like maybe 10 listeners being like, I know that smell too.
Yeah, yeah.
You
Nobody
you
else knows.
you and me are like, oh yeah, that takes me back.
That's the days. That's the days. No, it's a great game. It's a great series. If you haven't played it, I truly think so. Xbox has a showcase coming up in about 3 weeks, June 10th, I think. A few years ago, they did the Master Chief collection. I would not be shocked if we get a Marcus Phoenix collection and we get like a
I
re-release of like the original trilogy or something like that.
I think I read something about that.
Like it
But
wouldn't shock me at all. It's been
I
rumored for quite a while.
yeah, and I think
Um,
that Gears 6 is a rumor as well, but that's when they'll
There's no
actually
way.
announce
There's
it.
no way that's not. Yeah, Gear 6 is happening. There's no way.
I think Gears 5 was successful enough.
I liked Gears 5. I liked Gears
Yeah.
5 a lot more than Gears 4.
Oh,
Gears 4 is the only one I didn't. I don't want to say I didn't like it because it was okay, but it was my least favorite of all of them by a mile
Oh yeah, Gears
for
5
sure.
was getting huge scores. It got like 9 out of 10 on
Yeah,
IGN.
Gears 5. I mean, it's like
82 out of 100 is its lowest score. It did
yeah.
fine. There'll be a Gears 5 or a Gears
So
6. Sorry.
like the original Gears trilogy is dope. Gears 4, Gears 5, they found their way back. I quickly want to just plug. Have you played Gears Tactics?
No, I have it. It's on my like play when you have time list, and that's usually when I go on my afternoon shifts. So
Yeah,
that's when
it's
like I'm off the clock as being like full time dad when I'm on shift. So that's when I
right.
can sneak in those games.
It's awesome. It gets a little repetitive by the end, but it's a very good tactical game, and it's
Is
gear, and it feels like Gears, it feels like Gears meets XCOM. It really does.
Oh, I was
They
just
do a
gonna say,
great
is it
job
more
with it.
like XCOM or is it like
Very much.
Halo Tactics, which was like a true RTS?
No,
So
no,
it's
no.
like
Oh,
XCOM.
Halo
That's
Wars.
awesome.
No, no.
Halo
It's
Wars,
like
yeah, yeah.
XCOM. Yeah, it's like XCOM. It's awesome. So,
Awesome.
yeah. If you've never played them, I'm telling you, at least play the original trilogy. I give the Remember the Game seal of approval. Like these are very good video games. You will enjoy them. They're on Game Pass. I don't know where else they are. I think they're on Windows. I don't know. Like Steam. I don't know where the fuck else you can play them. But you guys know me. Me and PCs don't get along. But play them. They're fucking awesome. You can get an Xbox One for like $10 now. Fucking pick one up. Get Game Pass. Play the Gears games. You'll be happy you did. You good? Are we ready to score
Yeah.
this thing? All right.
Yeah, yeah.
So I know this is a very self-serving score scale, but fuck all of you. I've been doing this for 5 years now, and I'm pretty proud of that. So this is episode 250. We're scoring this game out of 250. I'm indulging myself and my own ego here. So Tyler, out of 250, what score are you giving Gears of War?
I will give it 250 Coltrane. Woos!
I love it.
All 250. I don't think I've given a perfect score, and I like Gears 1 to 3. That's my jam. I love those
Yeah.
games. So
Yeah, I'm so conflicted, man, because I very rarely give out the perfect scores. I have done it a couple of times. For anyone that's like, he only ever gives the perfect score to Super Mario World, there are a few episodes in the archives where I've given out the perfect score, but you have to go back and listen and find them. The only reason I'm not going to give this game a perfect score is because I know I like Gears 2 better. So I'm gonna,
that's
I'm
that's
gonna,
fair.
so I'm gonna give it the Gears 2 tax, but I'm gonna give it like a 245 out of 250. It's not a perfect game, but it's the next best thing.
I
It's
was just
just such a
hoping
great video game.
I was just hoping Gears 2 would be a later enough episode that there'd be like 10 more points for the score.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
So
No,
this could be a perfect 250, and then Gears 2 will be like episode 260. It'll be like, wow, this is 260 out of
yeah,
260.
you can give it a higher perfect score. A plus plus.
Yeah.
No, it's just fucking Gears is just awesome. I've been excited for this episode for the last probably 2 or 3 years. And I knew coming into episode 250 it was either going to be Gears of War or it was going to be The Last of Us. And I was torn because I think The Last of Us, I've told many people, maybe my favorite game ever that's not Super Mario World or Tetris.
It's my favorite story-driven game, and I just played it. Like when that
Yeah.
show came out, I started watching the show. I was like, I gotta play this game. I wanted to get
It,
ahead of the show.
it's a
Oh,
special video game.
my heart broke.
Yeah, it's a
I
special
felt
game.
I haven't cried like that since I was like 16 and my first girlfriend broke up with me.
Yeah, yeah, dude. It's heavy. And we will eventually, for everyone that's wondering, we will eventually give The Last of Us an episode. I just thought like I've talked about The Last of Us quite a bit on the podcast. Everybody knows. Like, I'm just gonna spoil it right now. That game will get a perfect 10 from me when we do it. Like, it's gonna get a perfect score.
Man,
It's
it is.
legitimately it's one of my it's one of the absolute best video games I ever played. But so is Gears of War.
Mhm.
And again, I just this game is so important to me. And I just thought like, well, for episode 150, we did Super Mario Bros. Episode 250, we're gonna do my modern day Super Mario Bros, which is Gears of War. I'm so glad I got a chance to replay it and just remembered how good it is. And you and I have been talking about doing this episode forever, so I'm glad it worked out. And we were finally. People have been asking me for this episode for like, fuck me, I don't even know how long. We finally. I hope we did it justice. I hope all of you were happy. We finally talked Gears of War. I fucking love this game.
Oh, I'm pumped.
Tyler, what do you got going? Do you have anything you want to plug? What do you got? What's up?
No, 762's been quiet for a little while, the film studio that I'm part of, and then just yeah, got a project that I'm working on, but I'm not gonna plug it just yet till I actually do some
All right.
work on it.
That's a good. I am working on something, but I'll plug it when I actually work on it. I respect that.
Well,
I respect
well,
that honesty.
yeah, it's a dream work right now, right? Like I just want to
I
get some. I want to get some episodes recorded, have something in the bank, and then actually put some of the actual work in, and then I'll start plugging it and promoting it.
I get it. I like it. Well, buddy, thank you so much. Not only for this episode, buddy, but like you fuck. I don't remember what episode you debuted on, but I remember you were in the first like 10. You were
Mhm.
one of the first episodes. And 5 years later, I said it on episode 1. No one's gonna listen to this. And now this is 250 of these fucking things. I'm shocked we made it this far. So
I'm gonna pump your tires a little bit about that too. So like I just love talking about video games like this and whatever. So and we were talking about doing a Gears episode, and I've been getting like really pumped about it. And so my buddy Tyler Bailey that I used to skateboard with, and we don't talk very often. Like life, you take different paths or whatever. So every now and again we touch in and just, hey man, what's going on? How's life? How's the step kids? How's your kids? Blah blah blah. All of the natural things. Just making sure each other's all right. And
yeah.
he's talking about he started producing some music and stuff. I'm like, oh, that's awesome. Send me some links, blah, blah. Yeah. Well, I'm just getting ready to report a podcast with my buddy Adam. It's his podcast, Remember the Game. And he just, wait, what? And I go, yeah, it's my buddy's podcast, Remember the Game. He's like, I love that podcast. I listen to it all the time. I was like, oh, well, I'm a guest on it pretty regularly. Like I used to be on it a little bit more, and then life gets busy and whatever, so I'm on it periodically. And he's like, what episodes are you on? I started listening to episodes. He's like, I've listened to those episodes. I'm like, oh wow, this is such a surreal moment. He's like, you're blowing my mind right now.
That's
It's like,
sick.
oh yeah,
That's sick.
totally awesome.
Well,
Like, and I didn't introduce him. Like I said, I don't talk to that guy anymore. He lives in Red Deer. He's a rig guy. He's 2 in 1 out. Like our lives are really taking a different path. So it's not even like I promoted it to him or anything. Like
yeah,
he
yeah.
got it organically, started listening to it.
Fuck. That's sick. Well, what up, Tyler? Thank you for listening to my stupid podcast with Tyler. I appreciate that, buddy. Appreciate it. And yeah, I wanted to just say it, man. I'm gonna thank everybody in the outro, but man, thank you. Cause people look at these and they just think like, oh, it's just two buddies calling each other up talking about video games, which is what it is. But like my friends are all busy. Like I do this for my job now. I stay busy, but I'm like, I'm at work when I'm doing this. My friends are just like, hey, we just want to talk video games with you. And you guys take a lot of time out of your busy schedules to shoot the shit with me. And without you guys, it would just be me sitting here fucking up facts and getting names wrong on my own, and everyone would be mad at me. So thank you.
We
Thank you.
share the
Thank
blame.
you. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Like all of us love being on, so thank you too.
And that is going to do it for 250 of these train wreck podcasts. Thank you so much, everybody, for listening. Whether this was your first Remember the Game, your 250th, or some crazy number in between, particularly shout out to anyone where this is your 146th episode. Shout out to you people. Thank you so fucking much for listening, for getting our show to 250 episodes, for changing my life. Thank you. I fuck me, man. Thank you all so much. Normally this is where I say, if you enjoyed the show, leave a good review and all that. I'm not going to do that. If you want to leave us a review, do it. It's nice. But just thank you. I want to take a minute to just talk about the show and the future of Remember the Game and everything. I'm not going to plug the Patreon or anything like that this week either. It's there. If you want to go subscribe, you can. Awesome. Thank you. First and foremost, like I said, thank you to all of you for listening. I'd also like to take a moment to just thank everybody that's been on the show over the last 250 episodes. I'm not going to go with individual names because at this point, dude, there's been a few times where someone asked me if I've covered a game and I'm like, I don't think we have. And then I look and I'm like, holy fuck, we have covered that one. It's 250 of these. I can't remember everything anymore. So I'm not going to name individual names because I'm too scared of forgetting somebody. So I just want to say, if for all my friends, my guests, everyone that's ever taken time to come on this show, thank you for indulging me and listening to my profanity and letting me talk over you like I'm so bad at doing, and for helping, for being part of Remember the Game, because you all are a part of Remember the Game. Obviously, thank you to all our Patreons that have supported us. We've cracked the top 1,000 Patreons in the world, which is fucking unreal. I never thought anybody would sign up, so it's sick. Thank you all so much. Thank you so much to our mods in both our Discord and our new subreddit or Reddit, whatever you call the term. Thank you for keeping an eye on everything for me because I couldn't keep track of it myself. Joe, dude, thank you so much for designing all of our merchandise. You're a great guy, and it's been a lot of fun to work with you. I'm grateful. Thank you to everyone. And again, I don't want to name because I'm going to forget people. Anyone that's ever made me a song or some fan art or done work for me for social media or anything, like anyone that's ever helped me. Thank you. Thank you to all of you that have sent me nice messages. Even if I haven't written back, I see all of them. And told me how much you like the show. Thank you to the haters because I rub them one out at night and think about you and fucking laugh at how awesome it is that people hate me on the internet. That fucking turns me on. So thank you for hating me, but still giving me some downloads. I appreciate it. And Shaylee isn't going to hear this, but thank you to her for not making me get a job when the pandemic hit and comedy died. I applied for some jobs, and then she was like, no, like, try to do some online comedy shows, which I did. And she was like, double down on Remember the Game. And the pandemic was where this show exploded. So thank you to her for her patience. And maybe most important of all, to our CEO, the 7 pounds of hard-nosed fury, Molly, my dog. She's laying behind me right now. She's laid behind me basically every episode of the show we've ever recorded. She's in here laying on the floor, and she cracks the whip, but I love her. I love that dog. So thank you, CEO. You are the best. Yeah, I think that's, I'm gonna wrap up the thank yous there. And then the other thing is just quickly the future of the show. People keep asking me like, hey, when's the show going to die? Like, when are you going to stop? Like, is it ever going to stop? You got any plans? I don't know. It will stop someday, but I'm not going anywhere with it. One thing I will say is I think moving forward, you've probably noticed over the last year or so, we're finally running out of games that I have played. We aren't running out of games to cover. Dude, there's got to be another 300 episodes sitting on shelves and shit. Like, people want episodes about. We're running out of games that I have played. So most people seem to not mind. I have seen the occasional comment from people saying they don't enjoy the direction of the show and the way it's less about my memories of games and more like a review of a game. I'm sorry. There's nothing else I can do about that. We have talked about, listen, I have a games list of games that I've played growing up that I could talk about. It's gotten short. And a lot of the games that are left are games that don't have very big followings. I don't know how many people would be interested in them. So there will still be some of those episodes mixed in, but a majority of the Remember the Games moving forward are going to be games that I'm playing for the first time and reviewing. And doing on the show. I'm not ready to give up. I love discovering new games, but I'm just out. So that's going to happen. And on that note, there may be the occasional week moving forward where I just haven't been able to finish a game to talk about it. And so there may be the occasional week where maybe there isn't a Remember the Game, or we might get an occasional extra revisited episode because I just need more time to finish another game for the show. So just know that, like, it's not that I personally would like to think that the show has gotten better over the last 5 years. Not everybody feels that way, and that's fine. The show will stop when I don't want to do it anymore. And I'm nowhere near that yet. I still love doing this every week. I really like my other shows. I love doing Expansion Pass. I love Game Patch. Game Patch is a lot of work, but I like Game Patch. I'm loving Purple Monkey Dishwasher and getting out and talking about something with Simpsons. The Rambling Idiot is always fun, but at the end of the day, Remember the Game will always be the favorite. It's my firstborn. As the oldest child of my family, I have to assume the firstborns are always the favorites. I'll quit it when I'm bored. I'm not bored. My goal is 500 episodes. After that, we'll fucking see what happens. But that's my goal. We'll see if we get there. Thank you for everybody that's come along this far. And here's to 250 more. I am going to get out of here. Thank some Patreons and start into episode 251, I guess, as we climb toward 500 of these fucking things. So thanks again, everybody. Appreciate all of you. The hot dogs rock. You've changed my life. I owe you all a debt I could never repay. And I'll talk to you all on the next one. All right? Take it easy, everybody. Cheers. So long. Goodbye. Remember the Game is brought to you by our Patreons. I could not puke up all the content I turn out every week without all of your support. The following people are at the senior executive vice president level or higher at patreon.com/rememberthegame, and as such, I'm contractually obligated to thank all of you. So, in order from longest to shortest, I don't know, whatever. It's a seniority thing. You all get how it works. A huge thank you to Makeshift Mellow Magic Money, Joe Buck, Sharonic, Andre, The Keegs, James Clark, Dave McGee, Dan of DNA Gaming, Slick Rick, Doug Dorn, Chris Fleury, Andrew Wright, Jordan, Fraser Burns, Angry Ticks, Dave Thompson, No One Cares, Scott Brooks, Aaron Lawson, Nathan Tremblay, A-Town, Morgan, Zane Donovan, Ryan Kinchin, Mike Maloney, G9PSX, Mercury 869, Wolfgang Darren, Sam Wright, Andy Hudson, Doogie, Wolf Magic 21, Johnny CCDC, Joel LeBlanc, Squints, Titan 420, Zonko 504, Russell Aldridge, Jeff Bergeron, Captain N, Daniel, Tunable Power, John Woodruff, Randy Barrage, Just a Fish, Poop Q, Super Dad Bros Podcast, Denzalo, Holmes, Zach Shepard, Ballsack Teabagger, Chris Dickin, Frosty Feet 492, Triple, Chugger 22, Elijah Burns, Stephen Parnell, Jean Ray Pram, Ray San Wantonga, DBXJ, Jameer Williams, Steve Dalk, Mizuru, Jacob Adams, Phil Lencher, Joe the Sandman, Ruben Elizald, Eric James, Nick Amos, Jake Carter, Thomas Childs, Biddy, Laces Out Dan, Beaver Boy, C-Spin, Thomas Smith, Nicola, Leroy Westrich, Evolva, Sean Ramos, DB Cooper, Stud Still Smash, Gabe, Dan Fusselman, Fuzzy99, Decoy Man, a dude named Adam, Wyatt the Surgeon who's not a Surgeon Rowe, Blaine the Hoagie Man who's not a Hoagie Man, Scary Terry, Bucky the Beagle Herder, Antonio Echeverria, Hagel Waffle, High Plains Drifter, Esteban Navarro, K-Atch, Timothy, Joe Stowe, Chris Williams, Oroku Saki's Gardener, Nicole Aldana, Cody Richardson, General Fury, Dem Boys on the Roof, Max Lagroom, current Remember the Game Hall of Famer Mark McHugh, James Juan Francesco, John of the Adult Children Podcast, Matt Hamilton, Daniel DeVore, Drugs are Bad MK, Sam Carpenter, Donnie the Dude Walter, Nerdy Hybrid, The Fletchman, Colin Bollinger, Sleeper Hit, Squeak Nuts, Isaias, Timmy the Exuberant Turtle, Brian Neese, Christian Gabriel, Maverick Marty, Musty Beetle, Graham Kennedy, Bud Lightyear, John M. Watkins, Timothy Sabrinsky, Beef Dingleberry, Michael Barjudina, Hitchy Poo, Arctic Vision, Bulma Simp, Mark But Not McHugh, Trevor McKee, Burt Macklin, Quiet Place Queen, Cam Nelly 23, Zamatos, Chris Lovin, Oh My God It Froze, Bobby Litton, Brandon DeZeba, Kia Pup, Knife Goes In, Guts Come Out, Works For Me, Heman Demon, Dakota Guy, Alexander Camps, Neil Cooper, Ted Explosion, Ryan Perry, Alex R, It's the Bigfoot, Poet, Graham, Lucas Valadez, Ichi Nutsuru, Mr. Papa Giorgio, Solomon Soto, Darth Skywalter, Postman, WestGen, Nick Creature, Adam Martinet, NAFE, The Big Deal, Dr. Nightmare 23, Kevin Monroe, Shorzy, Because 19, Digital Dave, Lord Longrod Von Hugendom II, Brian Weber, Frosty Bear, Max Sandin, Sour Goatface, Alex Ramos, Faded Suffrets, Tristan Anderson, Benjamin Atkins, Robbie DLC, Mellow Yellow 8787, B Money, Hired Goons, Who, Brandon Helmheckle, The Fiend Ryan Colton, It's OG, Tyler Bauer, Fallen Snow Kiku, Dill Pickle Rick, E-Man Trucker, Mark Sneed, That One Kid Josh, Raging Irish, Artrio Wormwood, Shoeboxers, Wildcard, Adam Blank still hasn't reviewed Mario Galaxy, Gay Callahan, Robbie Ayers, Sabin, Brian Richmond, Devilish Saint, Blobby Rogers, Super Nintendo Chalmers, Glue Scapid, Bula, Adam Blank's Evil Twin, Matt Zeus, Buy Me Bone Storm, Plow King, Cesar, Pickin' Hat, Philip Mamoof with Farts, Robinson Dick Whittles, Cody Thompson, Preston Dylan Tourette, Elephant Cab, Scissor Fist, IC Wiener, and Big Daddy Randall. Thank you guys. Fucking thank you. Thank you. Thank you. See you later. Cheers.